What is going on, everyone? This is Miles with Windows Central Gaming, and welcome to the 26th episode of Xbox Chaturdays. Today, the legendary man himself, Dealer Gaming, making his big comeback to the show. Stoked to have you on, man. How are you doing on this fine Saturday?
I'm doing way better now. That was pretty intense.
Oh, yeah, just
Hey,
keeping
I
that
haven't had a
energy
chance
up.
to crack my monster yet, man. Seriously, you had to make time go faster?
Dude,
No,
crack it open. Let's
thanks for
hear
having me
it.
on, though, man.
Let's get that
Thanks for having me on.
satisfying crack.
Look, I'll do it while I say this. Last time we were together, Miles. It was a confusing time for the world. Xbox had no games, and it just didn't have any studios, and we were playing Gears of War, and we just, it was a confusing thing. But now we're sitting here, and my cat's going crazy. We've got Miles in the house with Ibanez in the background, and of course, we're going to talk about the latest and great. It is the greatest, right, Miles? The latest and the
The
greatest.
latest and the greatest. You are
Okay.
100% right
Whew.
there, dealer. And
Um,
yeah, a lot has changed since you were last on. It's been a few months, and Xbox has had a ton of really amazing momentum. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about basically E3 more or less kicking off this week. I know officially it's not for about 2 weeks, but we had a ton of gameplay reveals. Want to pick your brain on some of those. We're going to be talking about PlayStation games coming to PC. There's some developments there. I've shared my takes on that. I know you are going to have some juicy takes on that, and want to pick your brain on kind of the future propositions for both Xbox and PlayStation when it comes to this platform versus hardware approach. And then towards the end of the show, I'm going to pick your brain a little bit about some of your E3 predictions and your E3 hopes and dreams.
Perfect.
So real quick,
Perfect.
got to give a huge shout out to the 100 people rocking with us already. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. See Mr. Joanna Dark in the chat, The Game Filter, Eternal Umbra, Xbox BG, Binyabik, a lot of returning faces, some new faces as well. So I'm excited to get into it. Some housekeeping stuff real quick. I was on the Kind of Funny Xcast this week, so that episode went live shortly before we went up here. So if you're interested, if you want to show those dudes some love, go check out that episode. You got to see a little peek into my Xbox background and listen to me stan about Phantom Dust some more. I know you guys love that content. You're here for the Phantom Dust standing. So go check that out. And then also, we put up a fun community-centric video basically asking for your wildest Xbox E3 predictions. So that's up on the channel as well if you want to hear some ridiculous takes from the community. So pulled some of your wild tweets and made a fun video there. Dealer, let's dive into the show, my dude. So we had a lot of gameplay reveals this week. Earlier on in the week, we just started getting all these dumps that Far Cry was coming, Horizon Forbidden West was coming, Sonic exists, Dragon Quest was coming. So there was a lot of big gameplay reveals this week.
Uncharted was coming to PC.
Oh, so it's been spicy. So I want to pick your brain on some of the highlights. Are you super excited for anything we've seen so far this week, be it Far Cry 6, Horizon, Sonic, or Dragon Quest?
Look, Miles, I think it's silly that you asked me if I was excited for Sonic. I'll be honest. But at the same time, you don't really know that I'm not a Sonic fan. I'll be honest. So yeah, I don't care about Dragon Quest or Sonic. I do think Horizon looks gorgeous, as we knew it would. And Far Cry, interesting. That game is kind of a throwback, right? I'm getting mixed vibes. I do like the rocket packs, though. I don't like the fact that Ubisoft forgot how to upload it at 60 frames a second. But I don't know. I think this game, I'm hoping it looks amazing. And if it's Far Cry, it's Far Cry. You're blowing stuff up. And, you've got some kind of righteous cause that isn't super righteous. Should be fun. Yeah. Other than that, though, Horizon, I mean, Miles. Whew.
Oh, dude, for Horizon. I was so impressed by what they showed of that game.
And it's okay to be impressed. Yeah, you got to throw that out there. It's okay to be impressed. If that was an Xbox game, you're like, wow, it looks beautiful.
Exactly. And
but
that's, there's some people in the community who are like, you're on one ship or you're on another ship. You don't get to be on both.
And then
I'm
we burned them both down at the end anyway. Well, why
exactly.
not?
But no,
I'm trying to manage my language here, sir.
oh
So
yeah,
that's
I
what I'm
try to
trying
keep
to.
it pretty PG,
I know you got to keep
PG-13,
it.
you know.
You got to keep it PG-13. So go ahead.
But yeah, what we saw of Horizon was pretty incredible and pretty impressive. And it wasn't just a combination of graphics, because the things that impressed me most about what we saw of that game were the physics and the gameplay. Like moving around as that character looks so fast, so fluid, and so flashy. Some of the animations you had for attacks and lead ups into attacks, just ooh, like you can
Mm.
tell, like when you're holding that controller in your hand, that that's gonna feel great. Especially
Now
with
I gotta balance this out, Miles, because you said good things about it for more than 27 seconds.
uh-oh,
Somebody's mad in
uh-oh.
the chat. I gotta say the most surprising thing for me is that it's running on PS4. Right? No, not really, because we've always known the graphics thing scales, right? So, um, I don't know. People do forget this though. Horizon Forbidden West is a PS4 game as well, and look how gorgeous this game is.
It's
I'd pay $5.
yeah, no, it's looks amazing, and you bring up an excellent point. There is this contingent of people who push this
Miles, you were
narrative.
one of them, sir.
I'm not one. How
You
dare you?
were.
No, let me say my point here.
Go
All
ahead.
right,
Go ahead.
dealer. All right.
Gavel, gavel.
There is a contingent of people who say that, previous gen consoles fundamentally hold back development, and they're using Halo Infinite as a big example of that. But I didn't hear that narrative pushed at all with Horizon, because, like you mentioned, Horizon is launching on both PS4 and PS5, and nothing that I saw in that gameplay made me feel like this game was quote unquote held back by the PS4. Everything about that looked incredible. So it's funny that there's that narrative permeates Halo. Halo is going to be held back by the Xbox One. Halo's going to look
Yeah.
bad. Halo's not going to have any new mechanics or physics because of Xbox One. But in
No
the
Phil
same
Spencer.
breath, Horizon next
Yeah.
gen PS4 is not doing anything to hold it back. So it's interesting that there's that dynamic.
Yeah, yeah. You got to remember, the amount of people on social media when Halo Infinite came out and looked like Roblox. Let's just be real.
Whoa, whoa,
With no
whoa.
mountains. Right? I mean, it could have looked better, and we all spoke up, and they delayed it like they should have. It wasn't gonna have ray tracing at launch. It's part of the, how we knew the tools and stuff weren't gonna be ready a long time ago. It wasn't gonna have a lot of stuff at launch, including textures on Craig's forehead. So we said, put Craig back in the bushes, put him back in the oven. And Microsoft listened. They listened to the vast majority, but there were a lot of people saying Xbox One held back Halo Infinite. And I'm sitting there thinking, you just played Doom Eternal on your Xbox One X. How much better did it look than Halo Infinite? Tremendously so at the time. Red Dead 2. You can even think of last gen games that look better. They then released new screenshots of Halo Infinite, Miles, and it looks a lot better, at least in a still frame. I mean, you could obvious differences there, right? Implying and stating that it is a time issue, correct?
Yeah, that
I
was
don't want to go into Halo Infinite like this, but it proves the point with Horizon. This stuff all kind of scales, and detail comes from talent and time. Game design comes from hardware for the most part.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Halo Infinite, what we've seen lately of that game looks so much better. And I'm in the camp that yeah, I wasn't blown away by the first showing of Halo Infinite. Like
Yeah.
graphically, it wasn't blowing my mind. Gameplay wise, though, I was really impressed with what we saw. Like for me, that was exactly what I wanted from a new Halo. A
It looked good.
bigger world, the grappling hook, small little details like that. Because Halo's always been about the physics, and if you can give me fun physics to mess around with, I'm gonna love it. I'm gonna play it. But
Mm.
yeah, graphically, it was fine. It wasn't the next gen mind blower that I think people wanted it to be. But the screenshots we've seen recently are starting to show the true potential of what this game can be with the proper time.
Yeah, yeah. At least given its restrictions, we've known that coalition employees, Turn 10 employees, and others have been working on Halo Infinite in the past. I mean, they had over 1,000 developers working on this game at one point, right? So they really, really had to push this out, and how they ever thought it would hit in last November, I don't really know. Of course, that was at the beginning of a kind of a pandemic, right? When this stuff was shown. So You got to give everybody the benefit of the doubt on both Sony and Microsoft, even Nintendo. Even though I don't even know what's happening with Nintendo. I'll be honest, but I'm sure they have been affected, like many of us. And the entire portfolios of games have been pushed back, right? So I'm just trying to give these guys a little bit of a break, though. I don't want them to release unfinished products, but you got to kind of use a little bit of sympathy there.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the reality of the situation is COVID impacted game development and the world in a really big way. And I've talked about this before many times on this show. At the end of the day, it's video games. And I don't want to be harassing people to basically sacrifice their own health and lives so I can play a video game sooner. I love video games. I want to play these games, but it's a video game. It should be fun. Talking about them should be fun. We shouldn't be demanding that these people risk a global pandemic to get a game out on time. Yeah, so give them a break, give them some leniency, and to the people downplaying COVID, just please stop. You can talk to any developer working on a big game right now, and they will tell you the same thing. It's not an excuse. It's not some narrative that they're putting to excuse their games. That's just the reality. And most people get that, but there are people who try to say stop using COVID as an excuse, and it's not an excuse.
It's not like it's really been that long in the scope of game releases, right? I mean, you've had Cyberpunk come out, you've had Returnal come out. You've not really had a ton come out since this whole thing kicked into high gear, right?
Yeah, no, that you're 100% right. A lot of
This is why I was talking about a drought last year, and everyone's like, "A drought? What do you mean? I got a backlog. Just because you got a backlog don't mean I do." So, yeah, I thought that was definitely going to happen. I think all of us really did for the most part when it came down to it. It is something that's very real, and we've seen this. These companies don't like you losing money. CD Projekt Red didn't want to lose $1 billion in their stocks. They didn't want all of this negative press. Yes, 99% of that game was made before COVID, but apparently they forgot how to finish games correctly, and then COVID added to that. So I don't really know. I can't pretend to be in their shoes, but what we can say is that it is pretty unanimous. They got to kind of figure out new ways to do things. But this isn't the COVID show. Right?
No. But
welcome to the COVID show.
It's important to touch on that. I'm glad we did.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get to a couple super chats here. We got some people rocking already. Again, quick shout out to the 150 people rocking with us. I see Paris in the chat. What up, dude?
Paris?
Mr. Joanna Dark says, "Happy Chaturday, Miles. Dealer, big fan of RDX and your content. I am excited about today's show and want to celebrate with the community as I landed my dream job this week." Ooh, Mr. Joanna Dark. Word. Hit me up on Twitter. Let me know what that is, man.
Thanks for the comment, though, right? Because guys like you, you guys support all of us, right? So you enable us to live our dream jobs. So thank you.
Yeah, Mr.
I
Joanna.
mean that.
He's a legend. He's dropped 3 super chats already. This is ridiculous.
Damn.
I hope your dream job is paying well with all the ducats you're throwing in here. But in all seriousness,
Miles needs more guitars.
Oh yeah, I know. I haven't bought a new one in a while. No, just kidding. All right, Mr. Joanna Dark again with Sony locking down FF, Final Fantasy, that is. Should Microsoft look to secure Dragon Quest XII as a timed and day one exclusive to Xbox Game Pass to appease JRPG fans on the platform? Dealer, it doesn't sound like you care about Dragon Quest. Is that correct?
Well, I don't care at all.
Okay.
At all, and I do mean that. But
Okay.
what I will say is that Microsoft are smart enough to know that those who like games like Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, you are an audience, you're a subset, and they want those games in there, in and out, in and out. They always want something for you, every single type of gamer. So that doesn't mean that they wouldn't lock down something like that, because they know that there are a group of you out there that would definitely enjoy that and get that little money from you. You know what I'm saying? So that should be interesting to see. Maybe they will go after that, and maybe they'll go ahead and cut a deal for a different genre, and kind of have a little bit of everything. That's their plan to keep people in the service all year round.
Yeah, Xbox has made it clear that they are trying to bolster their presence in Japan, bolster the number of Japanese developed games on their platform, and when it comes to Japanese games and Japanese mindshare, Dragon Quest is a big deal. Dragon Quest is a big deal in the US, but in Japan, Dragon Quest is huge. Dragon Quest is one of the most beloved franchises in Japan. So if you're trying to grow your audience in Japan, making Dragon Quest 12 an exclusive, that would move the needle. Absolutely. I'm also really curious about Dragon Quest 12 because they said it's going to be an adult version of Dragon Quest, so I'm curious to see what that looks like. And it's going to be developed in Unreal 5. So an Unreal 5 Dragon Quest that's a little more adult, that's got me a little intrigued.
I mean,
Gotta say.
perhaps. I mean, we saw Unreal Engine 4 render everything from Sea of Thieves, State of Decay, all the way up to Days Gone. So, I mean, it's a very versatile engine. Did they say that they're going to kind of go more of an adult route with it?
They did, yeah. So they basically said when they
Man, what do you think
revealed
they're
it.
going to add?
I don't know. Like the trailer was incredibly edgy. Like the teaser had like the deep gravelly voice. It had fire in the background, and I was like, this doesn't feel like Dragon Quest. This feels like I'm watching a
Monster
teaser to a
Horse.
From Software game. So
Yeah.
we're gonna get that Dragon Quest Souls like? Is that is that the adult?
So they literally went from like Dragon Ball Budokai all the way up to dark like Sekiro on the cinematic cutscene. Is that what you're saying? Because I didn't see it.
Yeah, it's just a teaser, so it's just flames,
Why are you
embering,
teasing
and
everybody, Miles?
it's just
Stop teasing everybody all the time.
yeah. So I'm curious to see what that looks like and what that is. And again, I want Xbox to have a better presence in Japan. I used to play a ton of JRPGs. I don't so much anymore, but I understand that there is an audience for it and people want it on Xbox. And stuff like Legend of Mana HD, I've been harassing Xbox on Twitter for months because for whatever reason, that's the only platform it's not coming to. And there's a lot of games like that where it comes to everything except Xbox. So it's not an exclusivity thing. It's not PlayStation paying money. It's just these developers and these publishers feel like Xbox doesn't matter for their game, which sucks. If Xbox wants to be the best place to play, they're going to have to correct that because you can't be like, we're the best place to play unless you like JRPGs, because then sorry, buy a Switch, buy a PlayStation. That's not a good selling point.
With something like Game Pass too, they have seen. It's so crazy because Phil will come out and confirm something. They're like, he's lying, right? And then, oh wow, Gears 5 really did sell better than Gears 4, and in the same time frame they're talking about, oh wow, Outriders really did sell well. MLB The Show is actually selling. Games sell better in Game Pass, right? And that's right from Xbox. It doesn't make sense to a lot of people, but it doesn't need to because it's pretty much a ton of free advertising on your friends list. What's that guy? MLB The Show. 100 people on my friends list are playing that game. You don't see that kind of stuff, really. It kind of reminds me of the old 360 launches. You know, everybody run out and get GTA 5, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And everybody's playing that game.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Game Pass effect in modern days. So if you add something like Dragon Quest, maybe they can incentivize some of these developers. Look at the engagement. You don't think anyone's going to buy your game? Maybe they won't, but guess what? A lot of people are going to be reading the name of your game. You know, just find whatever incentives they can find to bring that stuff over because you know Phil cares, right? Any word on Persona there, Miles? Go ahead and drop the deets.
Yeah, that's 100% confirmed. No, I want it to be confirmed. I believe there is a world where we get Persona on Xbox Game Pass in the nearish future. I don't have a date.
Yes.
I don't have any solid details saying this is 100% happening, just for clarification here in case people are going to tweet about it. But
that's the one he needs to get.
That is the one that Xbox I see getting. That's the next big one. We've gotten Final Fantasy for the most part, outside of the new ones. But they're a few years behind. So we'll get Persona 5 and maybe it's a year, 2, 3 years late. But yeah, there's going to be a world where those are coming, and Xbox wants to make sure they have those big, notable JRPGs on their platform. So some people are telling me that's impossible. That'll never happen. To them, I say, you're wrong. You're wrong.
Yeah.
All right, let me get to another super chat here from Mr. Joanna Dark. What are your thoughts on how Sony does a fantastic job in marketing their games? Should Xbox try to emulate that similar style? Does Xbox have a problem with how they market their game? Dealer, marketing. PlayStation, do you think they are killing Xbox when it comes to marketing games?
I've been saying this for years. Yeah, Sony absolutely outclassed Microsoft with marketing for the most part. And a lot of people say, well, that comes at the cost of smoke and mirrors. And I think, both sides are guilty of that. Look at Halo 5, right? And of course, Sony smoke and mirrors when it comes to their marketing, stuff like that. It's happened. It's happened on every side. But I would say that Sony do a great job at showing off extended chunks of gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
And there are mountains in the background when they do this, right? No stuff popping in. It's actually, ready to present. You know your Xbox. You know you can't make that mistake this year. You know you should have known yet last year. It's almost like no one watched that thing last year. I'm sorry, I'm back on that. Anyway, I'm just saying, yeah, I think Sony do a great job marketing for the most part. I think that what was the last game that they really, really went heavy on marketing? They haven't really ramped up on Horizon Zero Dawn yet. What was it, Last of Us 2?
Yeah, probably Last of It. Actually, no, Spider-Man, Miles Morales for sure. There was some serious ramp up for that.
For the console commercials, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you could play it on PS4.
Hey, I mean, they did an excellent
I
job
know.
marketing it.
Yeah, they did.
Making you think it's only going to be on PS5.
I'm trying to think. When I think Sony marketing, Miles, I think of the Uncharted 4 commercial, where Nathan Drake is diving for that coin, and maybe that is not the rule. That's the exception. I just can't recall, but I do know that they have some striking things that usually take the form of very high quality CG.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets your attention right away. Even their PlayStation Now commercial had Kratos and Atreus flying through the sky down towards a city on a boat, and it was like a CG render of them. They look pretty realistic. This is for a PlayStation Now commercial, and they did this with all their characters. And that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. It's just little things. It's not like it's night and day, but I do think Xbox could stand to maybe appeal to what is really the most hardcore audience, in my opinion.
So I'll add one more question to Mr. Joanna Dark's super chat here. What does Xbox need to do to correct this? Do they copy what PlayStation is doing? Or is there something you think they could do that PlayStation isn't doing that would be a better job of marketing these games?
Well, I mean, I think if you're just copying, I don't know if that just happens like that. I know it does happen, but not in the way that many people would think. It's not one for one. They're taking notes is what they're doing, and they're saying, what can we do better, or really, what can we do worse? And not that I think Xbox has had their time right with marketing. They've done great, like that Halo 5 commercial. Again, bringing it up, but it did work. Like Hunt the Truth. What the heck is on? It looked amazing. Looked real. I think it was real. I don't even know. But it looked amazing. It caught my attention. It got me excited for a Halo story again. And then again, the false advertising stuff. But, again, that's an example without the misdirection of something that they can do. For what is their next big title? We'll talk about some stuff later in the show, but we'll come back to that maybe. But yeah, Miles, what do you think they could do?
Yeah, I agree that Sony has done a really good job showing off gameplay, which, again, if you're catering to the most hardcore audience, that is what people want to see. People were so stoked after that Horizon Forbidden West extended gameplay demo. There was people talking about it, so much buzz and so much energy surrounding that, more so than just a trailer offers. I think that State of Play already is their most viewed one ever. And it was in a matter of hours. So the energy and excitement surrounding that is huge. There was 2.3 million views in a couple hours. So obviously PlayStation is doing an incredible job marketing their games. Obviously PlayStation is doing an incredible job making people excited about their games. And Xbox historically hasn't really moved the needle that well. Halo has been a great example. I will give the team credit for marketing Halo incredibly well pretty much every time. There's the teasers for stuff like Halo 3, Halo 4, a lot of mystery, a lot of buzz, a lot of excitement.
The Believe commercial from Halo 3 issue, part of that one of my last videos, like that, so simple, but still managed to captivate some part of your soul, right? And then Master Chief comes to life for a split second.
Yes. Yes.
Where's that button better now, updated for 2021, of course? Like that kind of thoughtfulness, like the Mad World type of thing. I really like the Sound of Silence. Gears 4 commercial. What happened to that, Miles?
That got me
Sound
so
of Silence,
hyped.
Gears 4.
Oh,
it was good.
I had no idea what Gears of War was at that time, but that trailer sold me on that game. The Sound of Silence was for Gears of War 1.
Okay, Sound of Silence was
Oh wait, no,
for
sorry.
Gears 4.
That's right.
Mad
Sorry,
World was
Mad
Gears
World.
1.
My bad.
Yeah.
Sound of Silence was again.
Yeah, it was fairly new, Miles. You can be forgiven for that.
Yeah. Okay.
Easily.
Okay. But yeah, so Xbox can do it. They've proven that they know how to do it. They just don't do it consistently with all of their games, and it's kind of frustrating because you'll have
It's almost like they contracted out.
yeah, Halo Gears, get the love, get the attention, get some sizzle, get some hype, get some feels, if you will. But PlayStation more consistently does a better job of making you excited about every single game that they're putting out. Even Returnal got a pretty good kind of press lead up. They put a lot of energy into marketing that game and what that game was, and getting people excited about that. And Returnal is
And that wasn't even their game. It wasn't even made by them.
yeah, and Returnal's as niche as you can really get as a game, like a third-person action roguelike horror game.
I don't know.
That is for a
It's unique,
AAA
but
game. That is niche as hell.
yeah.
Like my niche, I love that idea, but when you can market something like that and make that exciting to a general audience, that's impressive. That's really impressive.
Miles, I feel like they know. I feel like it's common sense as to what they can do, right? But here we are saying it, like, because it hasn't been done a lot of times. And again, I think that Sony do a lot of their marketing, in-house or something. And I don't think Xbox do it that way.
Yeah, one benefit that Sony has is they are an entertainment company. They have a lot of experience and teams marketing the biggest movies of the year, so they know how to get people excited about something, and that's something that Microsoft historically they have been like a hardware and a platform company, and that's not as exciting as like a movie company.
You
So
gotta acknowledge this though, quickly. Is since Gears 4, 2016, they didn't have a big blockbuster action adventure type of game, right? Or anything in that vein until Gears 5, right? Like 4 years later,
yeah,
4
it
years
was
later. That's pretty insane.
mhm.
And since then, they haven't really had anything of that caliber, of that budget, of that scope, of that AAA goodness. The reason you would buy a Series X if it came out in 2020 would be Gears 5. So since then, they haven't had much of that, right? That Forza's amazing, crushes Gran Turismo, in my opinion, right? They've got some of their other games that really Sony don't have anything that competes with. But at the end of the day, these big games with big scope, we know they're coming. That's the thing. I'm excited to see where Xbox take the marketing with this stuff.
Yeah, because let's talk about a recent example that Xbox did that killed it. The reveal trailer for Hellblade 2, in my opinion, one of the best trailers I have ever seen. I've never
Mm.
watched a trailer that many times in my life. The energy, the tone, the world that they set up with that trailer, absolutely perfect. Like that is the marketing that I want to see more consistently from Xbox because that got me excited. That got me really, really excited. Um, and so again, they know how to do it. They can do it. They just need to be more consistent in how they do it.
And show the games off how they're gonna. That trailer was running at 24 frames per second.
Hmm.
You
That's how
know,
it's gonna run. Get written. No, just kidding.
yeah. I mean, that's begging for a downgrade scandal, and I don't like that approach. I think the game is beautiful. It was running in engine,
Hmm.
but the game will not look exactly like that when you're playing it as a result of that 24 frames per second. And yeah, I mean, it's beyond the frame rate. Those who understand how performance scales and how much performance it takes to get a frame, you're reducing resolution to get that. You're reducing something else to get that. On the other hand, your tools and other things have come forward. So maybe they've found a balance there. But it is running on Unreal Engine 5, Miles.
Yeah, so I'm really curious to see what benefits, not only to fidelity, but performance we get from Unreal 5. I
Hmm.
imagine we're going to be able to get, better graphic fidelity
Eh?
at without
Only
the
on PS5.
without the cost to frame rate. So again, maybe there is a world where they were understanding the benefits of Unreal. They wanted to show off this game in its current state as they're learning the engine, in the hopes that this is what the game will look like when it ships. But
I,
yeah,
yeah.
teams cannot get away with downgrades anymore, and I think they've learned that because you have so many people Look at Spider-Man and the Puddlegate. People were so quick to try to destroy
But that
Spider-Man.
wasn't just a puddle, man. That's like, I mean, honestly, let's be honest, because I'm one of the people that really talked about this because people are acting like it looked better after. I'm like, why are you lying? I'm not going to sit here and lie because I like Spider-Man 2018, right? And I'm not talking to you personally. I'm just saying in general. A lot of people act like that all of those reflections, right? They're screen space reflections. It's a very demanding effect for a reason. It adds another dimension of depth to a game, to a title. And now we're seeing it with ray tracing. This stuff was removed entirely, and several other changes. So it's kind of hard to deny some of that stuff. Even Linneman acknowledged that the scene at the beginning in the crane tower looked better before, but somehow not. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I think people are allowed to think that stuff, but
No,
Miles, you had to think it looked better before. Come on,
my
we got to go back to
no,
2018.
my point was that teams can't get away with those level of downgrades because people
They got away with it, Miles.
are going to notice that. I mean, they didn't scot free. People pointed that
No,
out.
no,
People
they didn't.
complained about that.
I'm being
And
dramatic here.
I know. Dramatic effect is always appreciated.
Yeah.
But yeah, so people notice that kind of stuff and people are going to point that stuff out. They're going to complain about that stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
Halo Infinite, Craig will forever be a meme. Craig will never go away. Halo, no matter how amazing Halo Infinite is, there will always be a group of people saying, but Craig. And that's unfortunately
But
just the reality
guess
of that
what, though,
game now.
Miles? We spoke out on Craig just like we did the damn puddles, and we knew it was a problem with Halo Infinite when Domino started talking
Oh,
trash.
that's right.
Okay, we knew it was a problem. Something had to be done. We had to put him back in the oven.
Ooh, that's branded Twitter. Such a roller coaster.
Oh man.
All right, I'm gonna get to a quick super chat from Binyabik. Shout out to the 250 folks rocking with us. If you like the show, hit that like button, share it out. If you're new to the show, thanks for hanging. We rock every Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern time, and I really appreciate all you hanging out. Binyabik says,
Like button, guys.
nice to
Subscribe.
have Dealer back. Love you guys. That said, always a bit sad when RDX and the biggest podcast in the Xbox community are a bit dismissive about Japanese games. Even if it's not your
Yeah, that's
taste,
true.
make noise.
I agree, and I never will be one to say otherwise. I think that the closest thing we have to somebody who really, really likes Final Fantasy, and keep in mind that I don't pick a panel based off. What kind of toilet paper do you use? No, like it's all about chemistry and the dynamic there between friends that creates something that I hope is entertaining. But we really don't have somebody that really loves Japanese RPGs. Fonzarelli's probably the closest to it. I know he really enjoyed Final Fantasy, but try not to take that personally. It's not intentional.
No, again, yeah, everyone has different tastes. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but I feel like there is this general kind of consensus or notion that a lot of people who prefer Xbox don't care as much about JRPGs. And I'm not trying to make this a blanket statement, but yeah, a lot of my friends who play on Xbox don't care about JRPGs, and it's a bit of a bummer.
We're not alone. We're not alone. Don't forget that PlayStation had by far the biggest install base. You're talking about an install base of 10% bought one of the best games, if not the best game ever made, God of War 2018. That's insane to me. So there's a massive margin on every platform that doesn't prefer any given game. And I think that on Xbox, it kind of sticks out a little bit more because we haven't traditionally received those games, right, Miles? But
Exactly.
hopefully,
Yeah.
they use Game Pass. They leverage that, hopefully.
Exactly. And that's what Phil wants. I know Phil is very invested in Japan, and we're going to get to a world where there's not these huge gaps in portfolio. But Phil just has to work hard to convince these publishers and these teams that it's worth it. And that's unfortunate what he has to do, because the data shows that certain games and certain genres don't sell as well on Xbox. And whether that be install base or interest, that's a deterrent for a publisher. If you're going to invest time and energy in making a port and making this version, you got to expect it to pay off. And so hopefully...
Or pay them $6 million to put it on Game Pass day one, and there's your cushion right there. Boom.
Exactly. And that's why I think a lot of Square especially is like, okay, yeah, there's no risk for us to give you this version because it's going to be on Game Pass and you're giving us money. So
even Square didn't expect Outriders to do that well, Miles. Like, they were like, holy crap, like, what the hell's going on here? It's almost like our game's being advertised for free across 50 million people. They didn't expect Outriders to do that well. That's why the servers were so crushed for so long too.
Yeah, no, I didn't expect Outriders to do very well either, but it ended up being a decent game, and it kind of showcased what word of mouth marketing does for a game, because people were able to play it through Game Pass. They were telling their friends on Steam who maybe don't have an Xbox, don't have Game Pass, about how cool it is. So more people on Steam bought it because more of their friends were playing it. It's the Tiger King effect. I had no interest in Tiger King when I first saw it on Netflix. I was like, what is this? But enough people telling me to watch it every single day, eventually I caved. And I loved it. It was stupid. It was ridiculous. But when you give everyone ease of access to something, more people are going to play it. More people are going to talk about it.
I want that to be Jez's next article. Miles Dompier loves Tiger King.
Yeah, let's go. Tiger King,
yeah.
baby. All right. Another super chat from first name, last name. No matter what marketing Sony does, they'll be okay. People already expect their games to be great. Hopefully, Xbox plans to remedy that in a big way, or remediate that in a big way.
They expect some of their games to be great, yeah. And I'm sorry, but I got to chime in here and interact here. But I mean, you got to remember, we live in a world with Days Gone's a 71 meta, right? And though I give the game closer to an 8, that's lower than Battletoads. So I think that when
Are you saying that Battletoads is better than Days Gone?
I'm saying that Battletoads is not better than Days Gone, in my opinion. And that's why I say meta isn't everything, but everyone wants a good, high-rated meta game. That's why we see the same guys saying meta don't matter. Forza Horizon 4 comes out, oh, it's a 92. They're sharing that stuff everywhere. So you got to really make up your mind. I think it's good hype, morale for the brand. But Sony have released a ton of clunkers, and they do have some strong franchises. But Xbox dominate genres as well.
Yes, Xbox, I would say right now is in a really great position when it comes to having a really diverse portfolio of genres that they have really great titles in. PlayStation has a formula and a genre that they nail, the third person kind of action adventure narrative driven game. They do an amazing job. There's no denying that. Some people in the hardcore Xbox space try to downplay what God of War is and what Last of Us is. And even if that's not your taste,
talk up Rise, It's the same type of game, one and done, right? Linear story game. They will then talk up Rise and Quantum Break and not call them one and done. So that's why I hate that one and done phrase. It's ridiculous.
Like, for me personally, I'm so burnt out on massive open world games that are 50 hours to 100 hours just for the sake of being long. I would prefer a nice tight 10 to 15 hours any day. If you're going to give me 15 hours that's incredible moment to moment, yeah. If you're going to give me 75 hours and 50 of those hours I don't care about, then for me, that's not a better value in my eyes. And yeah, to your point, the whole one and done thing is a weird conflicting narrative you see thrown around between different fandoms. And Sony makes great games. Look at a game
like Edith Finch or Inside, right? Look at Edith Finch and Inside, two of the most memorable experiences I've ever had in gaming. Meanwhile, look at Witcher 3. My favorite, again, if not my favorite, number 2 behind God of War, if it isn't in front of God of War. I get those two back and forth all the time, right? Racing games, obviously Forza, stuff like that, but best games, mind-blowing, most surprised, most delighted, those two games, phenomenal, but they're different kind of experiences, right? Inside, Edith Finch, they're up there, completely different experiences, and they're only a few hours long, but I'm not paying you this money so I can waste 100 hours. I'm paying you this money so I remember something that I've experienced.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. What Remains of Edith Finch, in my opinion, is one of the best narrative games of all time. And it's 2 hours. I beat it in one sitting. I sat there and played it in one sitting, was so enthralled, so captivated. And I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to put on a brave face here, dude. I was crying. That is the first time in a long time that a video game made me feel that much. And it was powerful. That game is amazing. And that's an independent game that's 2 hours long. And I would pay $60 for that, because that, to me, that is how powerful and incredible that experience was. And it's in Game Pass, so you can play it for freezies.
Yeah, I think it's X enhanced as well. 2017 X.
So yeah,
that's where my mind goes.
Yeah, it's again, we want our team to win. It's the football approach. Obviously, you and I we're deep in the Xbox space. We're deep in the Xbox community. I prefer Xbox. I don't hide that. I don't try to downplay that. But
Yeah.
also, I don't go out of my way to talk about PlayStation games being bad or Nintendo games being bad. I
Yeah.
own all of the platforms, and I understand not everyone can. It's expensive. I get that, but that doesn't mean that those are bad or those are lesser. That's not the way it works. So I get that you want your team to win. I get that you want your platform to be better, but come on, don't downplay something great when it is truly great.
Yeah, which is all opinion, right? But at least attempt to understand why somebody thinks it's so great.
Yeah, I will say this: Last of Us, I don't really care about. I wasn't the biggest fan of The Last of Us. I thought the intro was one of the best intros I'd played in a very long time for that video game. But as soon as the actual combat and gameplay came in, I was done. It wasn't to my tastes. I didn't really dig it. But I would never tell someone that Last of Us is a bad game, because that's, even though I didn't like it and it wasn't to my tastes, I did not feel it was a bad game, and that can happen. And I want more of that kind of dialogue in the community, because if you don't like something, it's bad, is kind of the narrative that gets thrown around.
Yeah,
All
that's
right,
true.
super chat from the TH3G4P. Horizon Forbidden West was 30 FPS with dips and pop-in textures. It was not perfect. I 100% noticed the frame rate and dips when I first saw it. 30 need to die in 2021. I hope that was the right energy that you were
Well,
going
we
for with
just
that.
gotta remember that the game's not done. And also, there were Ratchet and Clank was showing off at 30. Remember when guys were telling us that we were wrong about the Series X hardware because Valhalla was 30, and then of course they had to learn like everyone else. This stuff changes. Watch Dogs is getting a patch to 60. You know that's coming soon,
Hmm.
in a few days actually. So yeah, I expect that game to have a 60 frames per second mode. If it does not, then that is, in my opinion, worthy of at least a little bit of scrutiny, seeing as, yeah, it's hard to go back to 30. I'm sorry. We've been saying this for years. 60 frames per second, it is the way to do things,
Yeah, and it's one of
at
those
least.
things where I hate being that person now, because I never really was. I've always had a pretty decent gaming PC, so I had the option to play these at higher frame rates. But a few years ago, I was playing Breath of the Wild on my Switch. No complaints. No complaints with performance outside of the forest. The forest ran like absolute garbage even back then. But now I booted up Breath of the Wild a couple weeks ago, and I felt it. I felt that sub 30 FPS way more than I ever would have before. And it sucks because I don't want that to be like the deterrent for me to play something. But Watch Dogs, I got that with like the press kit leading into the Xbox Series X launch. It was 30 FPS, and for that reason, I didn't really play it much.
Hey,
um,
same. I knew it would get a 60 patch, and I was just gonna wait. Ray tracing or not, 60 frames in an open world game like that is more next generation than anything else on consoles right now,
mhm. And
in
60
my opinion.
FPS
So
open world is, yeah, not something a lot of console players have gotten to experience, and now that they're accustomed to it, I don't think any big first party game from PlayStation or Xbox is going to release without some option for a 60 FPS mode, even if it
yeah,
doesn't
and
have all
there's
the
no
bells and
technical
whistles.
reason. There's no technical reason why they should not anyway.
Hmm.
There's no real bottleneck at all in these systems, except for a GPU bottleneck when you're talking about raising the resolution too high, right? Or trying to achieve too many frames if you get the CPU room left to go. It's it's just something that can be done, right? Just lower the resolution, half the resolution, double your frames, just about. It's relatively simple.
Yeah.
But there are glitches like with Dirt 5. We were playing that before release. I'm sure you were too when the Series X review. And the screen tearing. That was a glitch caused by, the lead technical director. He said he did it and it was an accident.
Just oopsie.
That stuff can happen, when you're trying to hit higher frames though. So
Yeah, and
I
that's
don't know.
another
Point is
thing.
60
Yeah.
frames.
See, people obsess about those comparisons between games when they come out, and use that as a way to say, "Oh, this console's better or this console's better." And there are a lot of variables there. So, yeah, in the case of Dirt 5, it did not look or run that great really on the Series X compared to the PS5, when on paper the Series X version should be better. And people constantly
But that was
obsess with those.
confirmed as glitches. There
Hmm.
were headlight glitches. There were terrain LOD glitches. There was texture filtering issues. This was all stuff that David himself did confirm, hey, this is stuff that we're working on. We've left a lot on the table. Quite frankly, nobody during this pandemic has begun to even max these systems out, and nobody has used hardly any of the Series X features that only the Series consoles have because they're just hitting PC. They're just being utilized there.
Yeah, they're just like these dev kits came in so hot, so
It
hot.
was on fire.
It was, yeah, they had a couple months to figure it out and basically
Hmm.
get a version running. So, yeah, as time goes on, both the PS5 and the Series X will start to see stuff that wasn't really happening with the launch slate of games because again, they're learning the tools, they're learning the systems, and there are, little bugs and little quirks that are going to affect the performance in big ways. And um yeah, it's
And
important.
it's worth noting and reiterating there, Miles, because you guys reported on it. We knew it, right? We talked to people behind the scenes. Uh, PlayStation largely kept the same developer environment, and for good reason, right? The games came out more performant, less issues, and that was confirmed by the Remedy developer 6 months after we talked about this. Less issues out of the gate when getting their engines up and running, their lighting
Mhm.
systems, their textures, right? Only then, when they get that stuff running, can they then start to build and add ray tracing and all these things these new boxes are doing. And like he said, fact of the matter is, you just got a lot on the table there that hasn't been maxed out or used. But the tools were very real. And I just loved everyone saying the tools, the tools. I'm like thinking in my head, just wait 5 months, just wait, you'll see.
Just
So
the memes.
you
It's
were part of that. I know you probably had to hear something because you were hearing accurate stuff here at Windows Central.
Yeah, and that's just kind of the reality is it takes time and you got to give people the means to learn this stuff. And it's if the system is the same, it's easier for the developers because they know it. They don't have to necessarily learn a lot of new tools and processes. They're comfortable with it and they have a little more horsepower to work with something they already know. So that
Hmm.
inherently is going to make it easier for them to get a next gen version running for these
Yep.
games.
And to top
Um
it off, Microsoft changed all the development environment stuff, the GDK stuff, essentially last minute.
yeah. Mhm.
So, that I mean cap it off there, but yeah, they had some things to overcome and now you're already starting to see some serious gains. Like Series X has been in the gym for a minute.
Just hitting it.
Hmm.
Hitting it, bro. Gonna get to a quick super chat and then we're gonna transition into, speaking of PlayStation, the future of PlayStation games coming to PC. Because again, I know you got some takes, and I definitely want to hear your thoughts on
Louise.
this.
Yeah.
But again, quick shout out to the 300 folks rocking with us. Really appreciate that. Jake with the super chat says, Miles, tell Rare we need snow biome and Sea of Thieves where we can dodge icebergs. Jake, yes, I agree. They've been teasing it with a lot of cosmetics and a lot of items. Again, this isn't me like trying to leak anything or confirm anything, but Sea of
Are you sure?
T's
Because somebody's gonna write an article on this, Miles. You better make sure.
Sea of T's is real. That team, when they put things into the game, no matter how subtle it is, they likely are planning something somewhere for it. So a snow biome with icebergs, let's go. I can see it happening. Lord knows when, but I can see it happening. Mr. Joanna Dark, again, my God.
He's lighting it up.
With rumors of the Switch Pro said to be revealed before E3, do you see Microsoft being part of the Nintendo Direct and announcing Xbox Game Pass or their collaboration to boost hype for the new Switch? Dealer, what is your take? Is Phil Spencer going to come out on stage with Doug and be like, Switch Pro's real, Xbox Game Pass is on it, let's go, Master Chief is in Smash, let's go. Is that happening?
To you, Miles. No, you're asking me about my Nintendo, man. I have no idea. I will say that it it's kind of interesting, the whole concept of a Switch Pro, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this thing's
I'm
supposed to
ready
have an
for it.
OLED
Ooh.
screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which, that OLED is fire, trust me.
Oh yeah. Ooh,
But
those
what kind of
colors.
Tegra chip is it supposed to have in it? How are they going to scale that? What's going to be compatible? What are they going to make up for with the cloud like they're doing in Japan? Um, it's interesting because Nintendo, quite infamously, are not great with technical hurdles like this. And I'm not saying they can't pull it off, but I'm also not saying that they can get you to have your friends list added and it actually work and stuff. So, I don't know much about Switch. I just know that they are due for an upgrade.
Hmm.
And as somebody who does have one, Miles, what upgrades do you want as a fan of the Switch?
So yeah, the Switch Pro it's fascinating because I love my Switch. The concept of it, the most of the games, first party especially, have been incredible. But now that I've played mostly on my Series X for months and months now, the performance is noticeable, and the performance is a big deal. Stuff like Mario Odyssey is still 60, so Nintendo knows how to make 60 FPS games on their hardware. But things like Breath of the Wild 2, I cannot imagine a world where the current Switch model runs that game at anything above like 27 FPS. Which is a bummer because I am going to be all over Breath of the Wild day one. I'm going to be all over Pokemon Legends Arceus day one, and I'm probably just going to have to accept, that these games aren't going to run the best. What I want from a Switch Pro, I'm not in the camp that this is going to be 4K 60 because that's very unrealistic unless you're trying to pay $1,000 for the Switch Pro. What
It's not even needed with a screen like that anyway.
It's replacing the current model, so it's probably not going to be this mind-blowing jump that everyone's expecting.
It'll be 1080p.
That's what I want. 1080p 60, please. They've already said, or I guess they haven't officially said anything, but I think the screen in handheld mode is still 720. So I don't think the OLED is 1080. So in that aspect, that's not changing. But I want games, at least when docked, to run at 1080p 60. That's all I ask. Even 720p 60, because I think Breath of the Wild is 720p 30. Even
We got to remember too, though, Breath of the Wild. You got to give it a little bit here. It was a Wii U game, right? Or am I thinking of something else?
It started as it was revealed as the Wii U Zelda, and they basically took an entire generation off of Zelda making that.
Yeah. Think about how much software inks out of the hardware, right? So I would give them the benefit of the doubt and say, look, the hardware was new, it was made for Wii, and it's probably a new engine. What engine is that? Unreal? Is that Unreal? I don't even know what engine it's on. Even if it's not, it's probably their first time really working with it. So I would give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt there.
Yeah, no, I mean,
But
I have
I'm sure it'll
hopes.
run great, Miles.
I have hopes, and I want I will buy a Switch Pro day one if it's possible, because with this chip shortage, I'm imagining there's going to be like 200,000 units available, and it'll be. You think getting a PS5 is going to be hard? That Switch Pro is going to be a whole nother level of ridiculous refreshing. So I'm mentally preparing for that because I will buy one because I'm a fool, but I want to believe that we get some noticeable upgrades. Again, I'm not expecting it to change my life forever. I just want to be able to play my Switch at 60 FPS sometimes. Sometimes, dealer. That's all I ask.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I mean, I definitely agree. And Nintendo have traditionally ran their games at higher frame rates, right? So
yeah.
This isn't something they're not aware of. I think that they were just faced with launch issues and working with x86 hardware, especially when it comes to Tegra chip NVIDIA, right? I don't think they've ever really done that before. And it's an interesting product. So maybe they've got the reins in on this one. The OLED screen is going to do a lot. It should have HDR if that's the case. And these games are going to look gorgeous. But it is unfortunate that you're paying a lot of the price for this thing through an OLED panel and a handheld device that a lot of people don't use. You know what I'm saying? I would have put that into the hardware itself, given it more capability. And if they want to go buy an OLED TV, they can. But otherwise, there are plenty of other displays under OLED to give you a beautiful image, nice bright image too, outside where people are actually playing the thing. Sometimes you want a lot of nits, right? So, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let us know, chat.
Yeah, exactly. Let us know what you think. I think Nintendo has data that shows a lot of people do use it in handheld a lot, or I know a lot of people who primarily use
Let's say
it
it's half
as a
right?
handheld. Yeah, so they
still a big chunk of money. That's like forcing something, on a consumer that it's going to cost them good money. Like it's an OLED panel there. So I don't know. I'm not saying it's a bad or good thing. I'm just saying it's something to think about.
Exactly. So that's why it's OLED, but still likely going to be a 720 display to keep that cost from being astronomical. but still giving people a noticeable upgrade with this device and giving people an incentive to buy it. Nintendo's
Mm.
really good at incentivizing their hardware, even when it's like not the greatest upgrades. Nintendo knows how to market a new device
So
and a new
let's say
product.
this, Miles, as a fan, as somebody who owns the current one, let's say they're doing this because there isn't a massive difference with the actual horsepower of the system. Are you in?
See, I'm gonna say no. If there's no noticeable performance upgrade for me, I primarily play mine docked for the most part. So for me, if I'm not getting a noticeable performance upgrade, I'm not gonna rush out to buy this. If they tell me that, because what I'm hearing from people in the know is that the reason they are revealing this ahead of E3 is that they have games that they're going to show at E3 that are running on this new hardware. So that tells me that there will be some noticeable difference in how this performs. So if
Mm.
there isn't, I don't really care as much. If it's
Yeah.
still the same resolution, same performance, better display, better battery life, to me, that's not worth the upgrade,
I think
personally.
it will definitely perform better. It's just a question of how much more so.
Yeah, I've heard some wild speculation. I'm not expecting this to just change my life forever, but just
Hmm.
I want a noticeable difference, please. That's all I ask.
Yeah.
Cool. Super chat from Achievement. By the time Starfield releases, it will support super resolution from launch. This will
Ooh.
allow for more detailed worlds and faster performance.
Yes, it will. Good job, achievement. Yeah, that's interesting. Interesting technology there.
Yes.
Because these things stack with engine level reconstruction techniques and all kinds of other cool things. So you're talking about a quartering of a demand on your GPU depending on any given scenario. There's a lot of really cool stuff with this that we should be able to talk about more this year for sure. In a very big capacity. Microsoft are pretty excited to have this feature.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's going to be a huge boon for the Series S. And it's going to be funny now because so many people are obsessing over native resolutions and using that as like a metric for how good a game looks. But
Yeah,
ironically,
this is the worst time to do that
yeah,
with all
ironically,
these techniques.
we're moving in a direction where resolution realistically is going to start mattering less and less. Native resolution is,
Hmm.
but again, people want to flex those big numbers. I get it. You want your team to look the best, but yeah, probably settle
You want to get
down.
the most out of the product you're paying for.
Yeah,
In my opinion, anyway. If I pay $500 for a system, I want to make sure that developers are actually utilizing what I'm paying for. Microsoft are utilizing what I'm paying for. I get that, but yeah, since 2016, you got to do Sony props for this with the Pro. Checkerboarding wasn't so good then because they started doing it after all of the effects at the end of the pipeline. But once they figured out, oh, let's do all of the let's go ahead and change the way we checkerboard things and I guess when we actually do it, right, create a much clearer, crisper image and save half performance, it's a game changer. I
it really
mean,
is. It really
it
is.
is. So pixels and resolution, I've been saying this for a couple years. It's not the name of the game no more. Not at all.
Yeah, as we're seeing like really incredibly low bit res images being upscaled to 4K and looking phenomenal. So
Yeah,
the
yeah.
technology there is going to be impressive. It's going to make a big difference for the Series S. I'm hoping it makes a big difference for the Switch Pro as well. I'm hoping they're that forward thinking and using this as a way to make sure that their system, albeit maybe it is running at 720p, 480p natively, but because of this technology, they can, have it running at 480p native 60, but still look great.
And that's every system. I mean, I know what you mean by Series S. That's really Microsoft's play with Series S, right? GPU driven effects that can be really scaled back through these techniques and really put those resources other places. But even Resident Evil 8, right? You played this game, right?
Oh yeah,
This game is
it
gorgeous,
looks
right?
beautiful. I was playing, 4K 60 with ray tracing, and
Yeah, and that game is interlaced, right? Capcom have a very convincing interlacing
yes,
technique.
they
So it's
the
not
RE
native
engine.
4K,
No,
but it's to the point where it just doesn't even matter anymore. And again, we've been saying this for a couple of years. That's not really Returnal's 1080p internally. Reconstructed to 4K looks amazing.
hmm
It just doesn't matter. It's very convincing.
it is, and yeah, and so again, the resolution narrative will shift and will change, but again, I get why people want to bang that drum. All right, I'm gonna get to a couple
Bang the drum.
super chats real quick, and then we're gonna transition to the next topic. But y'all have been killing it with these. Mr. Joanna Dark again. Miles, I told you I wanted to make it rain and be called Rainmaker. Are you and Dealer hyped for Peppa the Pig 4K 60 FPS with ray tracing?
Yeah.
Day
Not for
one,
the 60
baby.
though. I would not be hyped at all. Need that 60.
Give me that 4K 60 ray tracing Peppa the Pig.
Yeah. I'm not even getting used to 120, Miles. I'm not even playing games at 120. You know why? Because when it gets to the point where they're not hitting 120, I'm not going to be like, man, this sucks at 60. I'm not doing it to myself. Just going to throw it out there.
Again, yeah, it's 120 right now comes with a serious cost to graphical fidelity for most of the things I've played. I'm happy with 60. 120 is definitely cool, but yes, I don't want to have 120 be my standard, and then when an amazing, epic open world game comes out, have it be like Breath of the Wild. I'm like, ew, 60.
Red Dead Remaster, Red Dead 2 Remaster.
60
You know, it's not 120. This is trash. Yeah.
What a world we live in. Black Ronin with the super chat. 720p is some BS for current gen, be it docked or mobile. Shame my cell phone can do 4K and a mobile gaming system can't. To put this in perspective, though, to play devil's advocate, your phone is probably $1,000 or more. Your phone is probably well over $1,000, and the Switch is like $300, $200 for the Switch Lite. So yes, Nintendo obviously understands what they can do at that price point, and that's why they're making these sacrifices.
Yeah, it's all about PPI, pixel per square inch, anyway. So if you're on that little handheld in the 720p, you know, for a lot of people, those games look great. You know, if you blow that image up to a 65-inch TV and you retain that same resolution, not so much.
Not so much. So yes, playing devil's advocate there. All right, Dealer. PlayStation had a call for investors this week, and we got some pretty interesting information out of this.
What did we get, Miles?
One of the juiciest nuggets is they basically quietly confirmed that Uncharted 4 is, in fact, coming to PC and will no longer be a
quote?
PlayStation console exclusive. I don't have the quote handy. Do you have it memorized?
Man, yes, I do.
Oh.
Jim Ryan said, look, Uncharted going to PC, I'm out.
Look.
And also said, as a result, Uncharted 4 is no longer a game, let alone a great game. It's trash now because it's multi-plat. No, that's the way these people look at it, right? I loved Uncharted 4. I've said this for years and years. You know, that's the Naughty Dog I really kind of really like there. But still, that going to PC is going to do nothing other than allow you to potentially buy another copy because Sony don't actually give you another one for no extra cost like Microsoft. But once you guys start demanding that, you'll actually kind of see the pro-consumer aspect of this. Like, whoa, this copy just works on my PC. Of course, because everyone's got those 2080 and 3080 Ti rigs out there, right? So
yeah, exactly. We're all just stacked. A couple $1,000 PC rigs, no big deal.
So does it make this game worse? Does it go down from a 92 or whatever to a 74? Does it devalue the game because of more places? Like, what's happening, Miles?
Yeah, definitely. Because it comes to PC, an instant 10-point hit to its meta. Because, quite frankly, PlayStation just does things that are impossible on PC, Dealer. I want you to know that.
Facts, like making Days Gone load way faster than a PS5.
But in all seriousness,
I'm just being messy.
Yeah, in all seriousness, I'm glad that they are taking this approach. I'm glad they're bringing more PlayStation games to PC. They specifically talk about in this investor called Days Gone and the success that they saw with that game coming to PC. So there's a lot of data that they're looking at right now, and that's why they're doing these quote unquote trial runs with Horizon and Days Gone and Death Stranding to see, is there a market? Like, are people going to buy these games if we put them on PC?
They're beyond the trial run. I mean, this is full on. This is the plan.
Oh, yeah.
1 by 1, 2 by 2. God of War's coming soon. You know, this is what they're doing, and this is why Microsoft did it 6 years ago. Well, you know, or more. So it makes perfect sense. They like money.
Yes, and there was that interview that I always keep bringing up with Jim Ryan and GQ, and he told PlayStation fans to prepare for this. It was really interesting to me that in that interview, he talks about basically Sony being afraid of the diehard audience, afraid
Hmm.
that if they brought their PlayStation games to PC, that there would be extreme backlash. Obviously, we saw the memes and people smashing their PlayStation 4s and stuff like that on Twitter, but I think generally speaking, they saw that, oh no, nobody cares, and people are just going to buy these games who never would have bought it before. So we're definitely going to keep doing this.
Yeah, the 300 radicals on Twitter that I had blocked probably are nothing compared to, especially everyone out there that wants to experience Uncharted 4 at the best possible fidelity at 60 frames per second on PC or more. Yeah, I mean, I might pick up this game myself. I have it on PS4, now PS5, but I'll probably pick it up on PC now
Yeah, I have
and
a
not play it because I'm a console gamer.
yeah, that's where I'm at. I have a great PC. I have a PS5. I have a Series X. I'm a dirty console heathen, so I prefer the console experience, even if it isn't the top tier ultimate way to play the game. I recognize that. I recognize that someone who paid 4 or 5 times what I paid for my console probably is going to have better performance. I get that. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm stoked about this because for me, a game is only as good as the number of people playing it and the number of people who can play it. So I know there are people on the extreme side who just get that sick satisfaction because people can't play it, and for some people that makes the game better to them. This idea that they can't play it, so this is better to me. I don't like that. That's never been my stance. Even though I prefer Xbox console, I honestly love the way that Xbox has made it this universal approach. So I have friends who only play on PC. So there's a group of my friends who would never buy or play something like Sea of Thieves if it was only on Xbox. Gears of War, same thing. I have friends who only play on PC, weren't going to buy Gears 5, but we're playing Gears 5, we're playing Sea of Thieves together because it's on both. And I'm glad PlayStation is recognizing this and taking steps to kind of correct this. My question to you, dealer, what is the cadence going to be when it comes to these releases? I've thrown out the possibility that for certain titles down the road, we're going to see day and date PS5 and PC releases. Are you in that camp? And what is the cadence do you see for big titles like God of War Ragnarok coming to PC?
Famously, I would say this over and over the past couple of years. Whether it's 2 years or 5 years or 10 years, eventually, day and date is happening with PlayStation. At the end of the day, it's eventually going to happen. It's a pointless argument. The numbers are adding up, right? Even their own their own in-house studio just had a game drop on Game Pass, and the sales are doing great on Xbox, along with Game Pass and the buttload of money they just got paid for putting it in there. So this is pretty interesting because it's something that we knew would happen. Sony had published so many games on PC already, people just don't know about, right? Especially in 2019. And this is something that Jim Ryan, right now the head of PlayStation, after the unification of Sony, which wants to basically two different companies, now the same. They've got a singular mind, and that mind is money, 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 right? That song. And Phil Spencer's over there singing it for the past several years. They see those record revenue rates, and they see that there is no negative to this. The 300 radicals don't mean anything. And when the games go to PC, it doesn't make it worse. It's your choice. You can play it where you want. They literally want you to buy it there or wherever else it's available. It doesn't mean it's a worse title. Red Dead 2 was not worse. Witcher was not worse. God of War will not be worse when it hits PC. I will buy it on PC though and not play it because I'm a console guy.
Yes, excellent points across the board there. It's the reality. It's gonna happen. PlayStation is a multi-billion-dollar company. They are not stupid. They do not, they're not looking at what Xbox is doing. They're not looking at the success of the PC market. They're not looking at the success of Game Pass and saying, that's not us. We don't need that. We don't need to do anything in that space. What we're doing now is absolutely fine, and we are not going to change a thing. That is, I guarantee you, those are not the conversations happening behind the scenes.
Obviously, right?
Especially when they put a game on PC, people buy it. People are buying it. And as we've seen with these cross-gen releases like Outriders, or yeah, cross-gen multi-platform releases like Outriders wasn't even that great of a game. It was it was a good game. It was a fine game, but the number of people playing it and talking about it was huge. And you know, PlayStation obviously has a lot of energy around their releases, but if they could release something on PlayStation and PC, and they have like a cloud streaming service equivalent for their big first party releases, imagine the energy and momentum that they can kind of expand on.
Mm.
They already do an
Yeah.
amazing job, but imagine if they had that kind of universal appeal for everyone, no matter where they're playing. That would be a huge boon for them.
That's why I disagree with Sony is doing things more traditionally, or Microsoft, Sony have two different approaches. They do not. Sony just looked over, snuck a little peek at the Uno cards Microsoft's holding right now, and Microsoft been holding them shits for 5 years, so they know exactly what's happening, and they're doing the same thing. This is why they went out and signed a memorandum with Microsoft to help them do the same things with PS5 blades and the servers. I guarantee it, just like xCloud's doing. Right? And they want those customers. They already said they didn't market PS Now aggressively in Europe because they couldn't supply the service to everybody in Europe. They didn't want to market to people they couldn't supply the service to. They want to do this stuff. They want to put your games on every device. They have job listings saying so. I've covered this stuff. They have the same plan. It's just taking them years to catch up because they were years behind. And this is obviously a shift in management, right, Miles? So this is one of those things where, yeah, they're a couple years behind, but I feel like it's almost impossible not to see that they are moving their games towards PC. They're doing all of the same things without the pro consumer little tidbits like the cross buy right now, stuff like that.
Yeah,
That stuff is important, and I think it's important for fans to step up and say, Sony, your competitor is doing cross buy. How about you do it too?
yeah, those are the big interesting questions right now is PlayStation ever going to support a cross buy scenario? They haven't so far, but they do have a Steam page now officially for PlayStation Studios. And is PlayStation going to charge PC gamers $70 for their first party titles when they do come to PC? Do you think that is kind of how bold they are with their pricing strategy?
Well, apparently they wanted to charge 80, right? According to some publishers or developers that we're in talks with. So I would think that right now they're releasing older titles at a lesser price, only $10 lesser, right? On average, I think $50 right now for Days Gone. Horizon Zero Dawn, I think, were launched at a similar price, if I'm not mistaken. You might be more up to date on that one. But yeah, they're a little older. I think when they're new, 100% they're going to try to charge you full retail. No excuses about it. Even if they're paying less, even if they're paying 12%, they're used to paying none because they are their own platform holder, right? So yeah, they're going to get every single dollar they can, like most would.
Yeah, exactly. Again, PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, as much as they, pander to us and try to pretend like they're our buddies and they have our best interests at heart, they're trying to make money at the end of the day. And PlayStation is not going to just ignore all this potential money that they could be making because, I don't want to betray Jeff on Twitter because he said that, you know, we we believe in generations and I don't want to let Jeff down.
Yeah,
I don't think that's how they're looking at it. Sorry,
that's a good
Jeff.
point, though, Miles.
Sorry,
Generations.
but I don't know.
Mm.
It's again, it's cool for me. This is really cool. This is really exciting. More people should be excited about this instead of focusing on the fact that more people get to play this game. And I don't know how that's a negative at all.
It's
But
not. It's just the 300 radicals that I and probably you should have blocked because they're upset their games. When MLB was coming to Xbox, you see the videos people were coming out with? It was
um,
insane.
I thankfully didn't see too many. I saw some tweets. I saw some hilarious tweets, but I didn't see the video
That
of
means you
somebody
got the right people
crying and
muted
throwing
or
their
blocked, you
PS5 out the
know?
window. But
Yeah. It's ridiculous. Like, again, I don't think that's the consensus. I think most people, I remember seeing a video from Paris when Horizon was hitting PC. And he was crushing somebody about this because they were being ridiculous about that. I think it was Truth Hurts. It's just, whoever it was funny, and it was funny to see because it really is common sense, as Paris laid out in that little video he made. This is not a bad thing. And if you think it is, your whole life is invested in something that you're not even getting paid by. And even if you were, you're now getting paid more because it's making more money.
Yeah, it's funny. Again, times are changing, and that it's scary. I get it. I get that change can be a scary thing, but it's okay. You know, we don't have to fight each other over where we're playing these video games. We can just
Nope.
look at our buddy who's playing on PS5, playing Horizon on PS5, and you're playing on PC, and you can both turn to each other and say, you know what? This is a sick game. This is a dope
Playing Bug
game.
Snack.
I'm having a blast. I'm glad we live in this world together. And maybe that's too optimistic. Maybe I'm stupid, but that's the world I want
Yeah.
to live in, dealer.
And that's most people, though, too. You know, social media, you got to remember, it's kind of like crime rates, right? Everyone's like, crime so bad. It's like the lowest has been in I don't know how many decades. But social media has given us the thought that it is horrible because breaking news over here is not about new speed bumps like it might be in Canada, right? Our good friends over in Canada. So, you know, it's kind of the perception of what you see. I think the average gamer is just gaming it up, and this community, however big it might seem, is microscopic compared to the general populace out there with these systems and that enjoy gaming.
Yeah, no, and I totally agree. I get flack every time I say this, but console gaming, in the grand scheme of things, let me make sure this
You're
is
gonna
laid
say it,
out.
aren't you? You're gonna say it, aren't you? You're gonna say it.
It's niche. Console gaming is niche. I'm a filthy, dirty console heathen, but
Why you gotta call it that, Miles? Niche? Really? There's better words.
it's in the grand scheme of things, when you look at the number of people in the world who could potentially be playing video games, and
Yeah.
there are a huge number of people who literally will never pay $500 for a console ever. Never.
Or don't
Ever,
have it, you
ever.
know? Yeah. I mean, yeah. That's a good
And
point too.
so I don't know. Again, maybe
I mean, you're onto something, Miles. Keep going. Preach.
but I just talk about it often on the show, and then every time something in the comments is like, "You're stupid." Console.
Well,
There's
that's because
X.
you're the way you're wording it. You know what I'm saying? Console gaming is technically niche, but that's compared to the biggest market on the universe. So
And that's why I
it's not
said,
so
in the
niche
grand
in a
scheme of
different way.
things, in the
Yeah.
grand, not in gaming as a whole, because there is a huge audience in the gaming sphere that play
Yeah.
console, prefer console, and that's cool. I'm in the camp. I'm with you there. But
Yeah.
when you're Big Papa Phil, when you're Big Papa Jim Ryan, and you're looking at all these
Big
numbers, you're looking at all these potential players, we're moving towards a world where gaming already is the biggest medium. It's bigger than movies, it's bigger than music when it comes to revenue generated. So why can't it be that the appeal and the audience is on that same level? Because we're not there yet. Like, more people watch movies and listen to music than play video games, but if video games become like movies and music where it's that easy to access, we could get there. We could get to a point where
It will be when
pretty
5G
much
catches up.
everyone you know is playing games, and we've already come a long way in that regard. So yes,
Yeah.
console gaming, as big as it is it's a small slice of the pie, and that's okay.
And what you've explained, we're literally witnessing right now. Because they look around, they say, man, we can't make enough of these systems, especially this time around. It's still only a couple 100 million units if we're lucky, the luckiest of the lucky. We need to look out into the bushes and see what else we can sell stuff to. And that's where they see the PC in the bushes hiding around, you know, a little creeper PC. And then you got the little mobile devices all over the place, birds in the sky. And each one of these things is now an Xbox, is now a PlayStation when Sony gets their crap together. This is the goal, right? So that's why he's saying it's niche, because compared to the capability or the grand scheme of potential, you know, 100 million consoles is not really much compared to that.
Yes. So that is what I was saying. So that's where it's at, and that's okay. We can like consoles. That's fine. But I want more people playing games, because I love gaming. I love talking about gaming. And you know, back in my day, only nerds played video games. Only creepy nerds played video games. And
I got to be creepy too, Miles. Come on.
Because I was a creepy nerd. I was in that creepy nerd camp at the playground, playing my Game Boy, playing Pokemon on my Game Boy, lime green Game Boy Color. You know, so we've been through it, but we're on the other side.
You just painted a picture for all of us and the chat, and I just want to thank you.
And you know, we're on the other side of it, and gaming is Uh, cool. Gaming is cool, guys, and that is cool.
Depending on what you're playing, you know. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's definitely much more acceptable. And I find that people that haven't gamed, I was playing Little Nightmares, and I was talking to somebody about this game, and they were just like blown away. And they went and they tried it, and that was like one of their first games. And of course, it's nightmare fuel for them because they don't know this stuff even exists or it's possible to see things like this on a screen, right? But this game like engrossed them, and this is somebody who would sit on TikTok, and instead they're playing Little Nightmares, and that means something. You know, they're experiencing something, they're thinking, they're interacting, right? So that's something that a lot of people don't think about really when they think about gaming.
Yeah, think about everyone in this chat. Think about the first game you remember playing that completely blew your mind. Like before you were playing gaming consistently, that one experience that you had that made you just love gaming, made you go from it being this outset thing to something you do every day. Like, because I remember that experience with A Link to the Past as a kid and playing that for the first time, having basically never played a video game. That was the first video game I ever played. And playing that, I couldn't believe that this is what video gaming is, and I couldn't believe that I was missing out on this for so long. I mean, I was like 5 or 6, so not that long in the
5 years I've missed out on
grand
this.
scheme of
Yeah.
things. But yeah, it completely blew me away, and I want more people to have those experiences. Because as much as the people I surround myself with play video games, I know a ton of people outside of that bubble that don't play games at all.
At least on console. Well, meanwhile, they're sitting there playing Candy Crush or
Oh, that's
something.
true.
So
Yeah, yeah.
they play the simpleton games. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, they play something, but they don't think of it as gaming like we do. But it's all the same thing.
It's all
It's
the
all
same.
McDonald's.
Yeah, no more gatekeeping. Let's tone it down. Don't
Yeah.
I have beaten all the Dark Souls multiple times, but I'm not telling people that if they haven't beaten Dark Souls, they're not a gamer. Okay, maybe I'm a better gamer.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm more hardcore gamer. No. All right, super chat from Lou Morningstar, and then we're going to transition into our final topic, talking about some E3 predictions, E3 hopes and dreams. Lou Morningstar says, put the power into smarter AI and more destruction in games. I want to see new technology this gen wow me with more than just graphics.
Mm-hmm.
And do you think that's where we're heading? Do you think graphics will be less of the showcase this gen and it's going to be more about AI and physics?
I mean, oh man, I've tackled this stuff. Um, almost Miss Cleo like skill here on behalf of myself. You know, I made a video talking about hardware accelerated physics on console through what would be Series X and PS5 before these things were announced, and what I thought was possible. And I confirmed this with the Dirt 5 technical director when I was talking to him, and how they could actually place physics on the ray tracing silicon, right? That capability that is not affected or does not affect the 12 for like regular game rasterization. They have another 12 equivalency for like, I guess it's like equivalent to 12 of software ray tracing built into the silicon that does not touch the 12 for the game you see on screen. And almost every game right now does not use that additional 12 teraflops worth of software ray tracing there. Almost all of them. And I was talking to him about this, and he was saying, yes, that's a fantastic question. Probably the first time anyone's ever asked this question, because I'm a physics guy. I just really into this stuff. But he says that, yes, they can place hardware accelerated tasks like physics onto this ray tracing silicon, stuff like that. I want to know more about this. And I made this video years ago, the thumbnail, something about a secret weapon, because I think this would be a secret weapon. PhysX on PC is still the most next generation game changing thing I've ever seen in gaming. I don't know if you ever messed around with PhysX on PC.
Yeah,
I got a PC back in 2011, was messing with it then. It's nuts. It's hardware accelerated physics on the GPU. And this thing can do everything from throw a battering at a piece of paper in the road, cut it in half, all the way up to tire smoke that's actually physically laced and shaded, and you can walk through it, and it reacts to your body, and it doesn't, it's not cookie cutter or corner cutting stuff here. This is actually physics based stuff, and I think you're going to see this generation. Halo Infinite's debut trailer, in fact, hinted at some of this when the pilot fell. this smoke plumed out from under him, and that could be artist placed, but really taking into account what the technical director of Dirt 5 was saying, it's more than possible to be physics bound and hardware accelerated GPU, or the AP rather. So this is something that's really, really cool with physics, and with 16 threads as into, you've got so much capability here. Most games aren't even using 16 threads right now. You got to understand, there's so much left, let alone velocity, right? And all these RDNA2 features. So I go on about this for years, only because I've been so good at basically thinking about what's going to happen. And it's not my fault, but I'm just saying that that's the thing, man. And if you're blown away now, just wait, not for E3, just for a little bit more technology to be unlocked.
Yeah, it's the possibilities right now are incredibly exciting. So those the physics details, some of the possibilities, or the possibilities of AI and how that can be advanced and how that can dynamically change these open world games where we're used to running over to a guard, alerting the guard, and then just running 10 feet off to the side of the building, and he just completely
Must have been nothing.
yeah,
The
it
guy
must have
says.
been nothing. Oh well. And we've been used to that for so long. That has been the standard. Very few games have done much to change that. And there's just some
Nemesis system is the last thing that pops out in my head.
yeah, Nemesis system is really cool, and it's a shame that it's basically not copyrighted, but owned by that studio. Nobody else can really do anything with it for the time
They
being.
can change one segment,
Yeah, they can.
just like an app.
Yeah,
But that was a really, really intriguing system, and I'm not trying to make this run long, but for those that don't know, you would fight orcs, you would defeat them, or they would escape, and they would remember you. And we made a joke about this on RDX recently. Orc comes back, his legs duct taped back on, he's got a RoboCop face, and he's like, "Hey, you thought you killed me when my head rolled down the hill, huh?" He's back, his head stapled back on. These guys remember your encounters, and I think the last Middle Earth Shadow War, I think they brought him back a little too much, Miles. You got guys that you murdered 47 times, but still, dial that back, and it's a pretty awesome system.
Yeah, I remember being really impressed by what they were able to do with that and how kind of dynamic that made that open world feel. Because again, I talked about this a lot. Sometimes open world games don't do a lot to excite me. It's the same things we know and just more and more and more of it. And that isn't
Have you played Witcher?
I have. Witcher 3 is great. Witcher 3 is a great game. No complaints about Witcher 3. I'm just saying, for every Witcher 3, there's like 10 games that don't do anything new. And yeah, I want to see those things rolled out. And speaking of RDX, we got Zocker87 lurking in here.
Love's good.
Saying the dealer half face reveal.
Good dealer half face reveal. Check one of my last videos for that.
Oh,
I'm a skeleton.
Oh, spooky. I did see that. I did notice your comment, and that's
You like my eyebrow?
scary. Are you trying to play Ghost Rider in that Marvel reboot then, or
Marvel reboot? I think they just need to reboot their reboots at this point. What's even happening with the Phase 7? I don't even care. Whatever. Different topic, Miles.
Yeah, that's 45 minutes I don't have, right?
Yeah, that's 75 minutes.
All right, final topic. Dealer, I'm going to pick your brain on a couple big E3 things here. First up, I want to get your thoughts on the predictions for this Xbox Bethesda showcase. This had been a big kind of point of conversation in the community before E3. Was Xbox and Bethesda going to have two separate shows? We now know that this is one show. What do you want to see there? Or sorry, what do you expect to see there? And do you expect this to be a hard divide? Xbox first, Bethesda.
This is one of. They will talk about and do similar little shows, or find ways and opportunities to showcase more software. I think you know that. But I would say that it took Microsoft this long to announce E3 and when this would happen. Relatively soon, June 13th, right?
Mhm.
Jeff Grubb leaked that. Shout out to him.
Homie Jeff.
And they did confirm that. But it took them this long because they didn't know exactly how they were going to do this. I think there was some internal stuff going on there with, who's going to ride piggyback, right? We both walk out on stage. Like, are we going to come out in a giant robot spider and swing swords around? Like, how are we going to do this stuff? And now we're fused with Bethesda. They got their own hierarchy of management. And, just hearing some things, I think they struggled with how they wanted to do certain things, and everyone couldn't get exactly what they wanted, but hopefully it turned out for the best. I don't think it's worth bickering over. It's not a massive deal because you're gonna have more details on some of these games later. You got too many studios. Now, I'm not saying that it's gonna be brand new gameplay and this and that and this and that. It's gonna be amazing. No, I mean, everyone's saying kind of, what are they gonna do? Play it safe? I don't recommend that. I know it's COVID, but show a PNG at this point. I would just say that, Miles, we need some good gameplay, some segments, and we do not need, though we will get a ton of Game Pass advertising because they're pushing Game Pass hard.
Mm-hmm.
But in return, man, are they pumping out software? Well, they should be. Hopefully, that's the idea, right? They are investing in third parties in Game Pass, but I'm getting off track. Point is, E3, they need to. Miles, what do they need to do? Like, what can they do differently? Make sure the game's finished. Make sure it looks amazing at least.
So yeah, Xbox is very receptive to feedback, more so than PlayStation and Nintendo. A lot of the key people in the community are, listening to Twitter, listening to podcasts, listening to
Watching podcasts.
vocal people in the community, and taking that feedback to heart. So last showcase, they were panned hard for lack of gameplay. They were panned very
Yeah.
hard for just having CG. But
It was a loophole where it was gameplay, but it was a trailer with cuts and a bunch of weird stuff,
yeah, they are in a position where, unfortunately, they had to show people that the future of Xbox was this. This is what we're building with Xbox Game Studios. This is what's on the horizon. This is what the future of Xbox looks like. If they didn't do that, if they didn't show these games that, granted, some of them are really far out, the narrative that Xbox has no games, just it
No
permeates,
games.
and they're trying to shake that, and they're in this tough middle ground where they have teams working on games, they have teams that will have games, but how many of these games can they show right now? And they're going to be extra cautious with gameplay after Halo Infinite and the backlash and the memes that they received from that. So they were oddly confident with Halo Infinite's big reveal. They kicked the show off with it first. It was extended. It was a live gameplay, or not necessarily live, but it was a real-time gameplay demo. They were confident in Halo Infinite when they showed that, and they're probably second guessing some of that confidence at this point.
I was told or led to believe basically that some of the higher ups hadn't even watched the gameplay before its debut, which seems really ridiculous. I know,
Yeah,
but it's
that is
not
hard
by.
for me to believe that
I know, all right.
their
But
biggest
also keep in
game.
mind that you live in a world where a lot of gaming executives, and I'm not talking about Phil by any means. He's always online. I've been in parties with Phil, stuff like that. But you know, there's a lot of executives out there that don't actually play games. So of course they're not going to go out of their way to watch something like that. I know it sounds ridiculous. That's why I don't talk about it a lot. But at the same time, it did come from a pretty good place.
Okay.
It's still though. It only takes one set of eyes to see the mountains popping in. So I feel like somebody had to watch it. And why wasn't that guy's voice heard?
I will give them credit for showing such a raw demo. Like the way that was presented, there was no way for them to hide any flaws or details like that. So they were showing you, this is what the game was a few months ago. This is where we're at. So I do give them credit there. It wasn't a hyper kind of produced demo, but yeah, at the same time, people were disappointed that that was the big game that we saw gameplay for last
So,
year.
right.
That
And this is a world where they didn't have. This is a game built on velocity. This is a game that did not even utilize velocity in its gameplay demo. This is a game that was shown off on PC. This is a game that was supposed to really push their new powerful console that didn't have ray tracing at launch. This is a story of a bunch of things that just weren't ready. So I think that kind of explains kind of the culmination of that debut, that show off. I'm hoping for better things this time around.
Yeah, I'm in the same camp there. They have broadcasted that we are going to see a good amount of Starfield and we are going to see a good amount of Halo. That image that they released with the date is telling you that. Those are two things that you can pretty much guarantee to see. A Halo gameplay and likely Starfield gameplay. At least a trailer telling people what Starfield is at this point. So
Yeah, they'll show off gameplay.
we know those two things are there. There's no question about that.
And they have zero to benefit by releasing Starfield at the same time as Halo in a service like Game Pass. You know, they're going to push and stretch these releases out every month, every other month to keep people invested, even if it were ready, which, you know, I'm not saying it even is. But even if it were.
Yes, I didn't like to be the downer. I didn't want to be that guy, so I wasn't super vocal about this. But yeah, to me, I was never in the camp that Starfield was launching in 2021. I know there was a lot of energy behind that. The world wanted it to exist. People wanted to play it, but I never believed that Starfield was launching this year.
I 100% think it was supposed to before
There
COVID.
conversations, yes. Conversations probably at one point in time were that Starfield was targeting 2021, but
Well, think about it. Even if it comes out,
because Halo
let's
was
say it comes
2020.
out in the first half or even the second half of next year. On average, these games like Gotham Knights, right? That game got pushed back a year.
Mm-hmm.
These games getting pushed back a year. And Starfield being put, you know, if it comes out early next year or even late half next year, it kind of correlates even then. I would say that it was meant for 2021. And if you know, obviously we probably don't think it is, but COVID says hi, unfortunately.
Exactly. Yes. I guarantee there were conversations that had Starfield slated for 2021. But like you said, COVID for a lot of these big teams, you can pretty much add a year to whatever they were expecting. Elden Ring sounds like that was targeting March 2020. So March 2021. It sounds like is what they were targeting for that.
Gran Turismo 7, that's another one got delayed.
So as we know, these big games are getting pushed. And I agree with you 100%. Launching Starfield and Halo at the same time seems silly. Seems silly to me. I know they're different genres.
I would like it, but you know, hey,
They're two like sci-fi spacey games launching into Xbox Game Pass. Two really big games that really should have their own time to dominate at least a couple weeks. So yeah, I'm at this point I'm expecting Starfield to be a fall 2022 game. I'm expecting that to be one of Xbox Bethesda's big fall releases for next year.
Miles, that's like you making 3 YouTube videos and releasing them all in the same day and only in that day for an entire week or two. Like you're not going to keep content consistent, right? And keep people engaged by, you know, remembering how awesome you are, Miles. So you don't want to drop all those videos in one day unless they're very, very topical, I would say. It's just an example of maybe something that some people out there might enjoy or get more out of thinking of it that way. When you're investing $100 million into a game, you want to get the miles out of it, and you don't want to pull an EA with Battlefield 1 and Titanfall 2, where you literally launch 2 first-person shooters. Yes, different kinds, but you're competing against yourself.
Yes, give these games time to shine, give them time to breathe, and Xbox's cadence with Xbox Game Pass, I don't foresee them having a multiple huge AAA games coming out the same month. And let's say Forza Horizon 5 comes out. We can kind of expect that, let's say October. Let's say we expect that. So that would be the big AAA game for October. Halo, we're kind of expecting that in November. Would they release Starfield in December then? Because I mean, traditionally Microsoft hasn't been huge in December, but I don't know.
Plus, you know, stockholders, earnings reports, all that stuff. They like to kind of push stuff into the early half or by November, usually, right? Unless it's a third party deal like Dead Rising 4 came out December 12th, I think.
That's true. Yeah, that was so catered to Christmas that it was kind of
Yeah, it was.
gross. But
Yeah.
besides the point, Dead Rising it's a story for another day. But yeah. So again, I think spacing Starfield and Halo Infinite way apart are really good ideas because as we've seen with that banner that they've shown as well, they are looking at Halo and Starfield as pretty much their two biggest things in the foreseeable future. So if these, in your eyes, if you're a publisher and these two games are what you consider to be your biggest games, it doesn't make a lot of sense to have them close to each other.
Yeah, yeah. And I would say that again, I would you remember going into the store and picking up 2 or 3 titles that are just giant, right? Last time I did this, it was Fallout 4 and Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider. And I was still physical back then. So you remember that feeling of just coming home with a few games you didn't know what to play first?
Yeah, like
That's
having
gone.
yeah.
That's gone forever. And that's unfortunate. I don't like that because I'm a gamer. I'm not thinking about it. I'm not, I'm not thinking about it from their wallet. I don't really care about that. But it 100% makes sense. And I'm sure they targeted this to be such anyway. It's not like they're like, oh, it's too close, push it back. Just add some emotes in the meantime. They've scheduled this stuff out, so I'm sure the games will be much better than they would have been a year ago had they not gotten pushed back a little bit.
Yes, I think the delay for Halo Infinite is going to end up being probably the best thing that could happen for that game because again, it's a meme at this point. If Halo Infinite doesn't do this, then X will happen. But
Yeah, Halo's dead. Like Halo is not dead.
Halo's not
Like
dead. Even a
it,
good
it
Halo
could
is
come out a 75 meta. Halo will not be dead. Doesn't mean I want it to be a 75 meta, not at all. But
it
at the end
won't
of the day, it's going to be there for a while.
exactly. Halo's not going to die. Halo's not going to go away. But their goal for Halo Infinite seems to be to not only cater to the longtime hardcore fans of Halo, but to use this as a new kicking off point for the franchise and to pull in basically a whole new audience. That's why they're doing free to play for multiplayer. They want that broad appeal. They want new people in. And if the game is just good in a world where there's a lot of amazing multiplayer games, they're not really going to successfully do much to reinvigorate the franchise. I love Halo. I'll
Yeah.
play every Halo. I'm expecting to love Halo Infinite, but I want everyone else to love Halo Infinite, dealer. And I understand
Expect
people's
120 frames on both the X and S, Miles.
yeah, and I understand people's
That'll rail.
complaints with the last few Halos. And it's one of those things where I don't even bother like arguing because I get it. I get why people haven't been impressed with Halo for a long time and I want Halo Infinite to be the Halo that is somebody's Halo Combat Evolved. Somebody plays
Well,
that
that's
for the
it's
first
a
time.
double-sided story, though, right? Like the multiplayer, probably the best it's ever been with Halo 5 to a lot of people.
I thought the suite for
Story,
Halo 5 was incredible for multiplayer.
yeah, and meanwhile the story hashtag get rid of lock forever or rewrite them, something. I don't know what the deal was there, but that whole thing and thinking and playing as Locke more of the game than you did Master Chief, if I'm not mistaken. This is
It was an
I don't
interesting
know whose idea
take.
this was, but I say what?
It was an interesting take, that's for sure.
It was definitely a take. Yeah, the wrong one. So Master Chief is the guy with the rocket launcher. He doesn't have to say it a lot. He's Master Chief. At the end of the day, that's what we want. And I'm not saying don't introduce new characters and stuff, but you bring in someone else and you're playing as them more than Master Chief. It's
Come
kind of
on.
weird.
No, don't do my boy Chief like that. We all know why
Yeah,
we're here for Halo, and it's Chief.
yeah.
I'm curious what they do with Locke. I don't want to spoil anything, but some of you might remember
He was in Halo Wars 2, correct?
there was a toy that came out with a potentially massive spoiler for Locke's future. So I won't say
Oh,
what that is, but there is some information floating around back when they were planning to launch Halo last year, and it was like not a Lego. What's Mega Bloks? Was that the one that has partnered with Halo? There was some
no, that's the
toy.
new IP by Microsoft. Yeah.
There was some toy that apparently like straight up leaked the future of Locke, and I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Is it good or bad?
I don't know. Depends how you feel. Depends how you feel about Halo 5.
Does he turn into a flood?
See, that's what I want. Halo Infinite better
Because
have the
that's
flood.
good.
Halo Infinite better have the flood. I'm going to say that.
Yeah, and make him slightly terrifying. I mean, you got to set an atmosphere like Gears of War 1 did, which when you throw enemy after enemy after enemy at you and you're just mowing them down, chainsawing them in half, I mean, it loses its allure and you kind of get desensitized by it. Make the enemies more deadly, maybe even make less of them, but make the encounters more special. And I mean, the Flood could be something really, really spectacular on this new hardware with all the different capabilities of the CPU and all the animations they can do with these crazy, creepy things. You remember Halo 1? That dark scene with the what are those little things called that turn you into Flood? You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah, the
You had to shoot them
introduction to
all.
the flood in Halo 1
Yeah,
was so
it was
tense.
creepy.
It was great. Yeah,
So
it like
creepy.
turned into a horror game for a minute and you're like, "Oh no, what? This took a
This is really
turn."
cool.
Okay, all right.
I did not expect this. It something interesting. So I'm just saying, make the enemies a little more deadly. Maybe reduce the amount of them, but it don't seem like they're going that way. And the Flood are the Flood, so they're never going to reduce the amount.
Yeah, it's going to be a
Um,
dump of them,
yeah,
but if
maybe just do all that for Gears, whatever.
yeah, so yes, Halo Infinite will be shown. Will look good. I'm expecting good things from Halo Infinite.
Are you
Um,
sure?
yes, yes, I am.
Okay.
Will it convert everyone who doesn't like Halo to love Halo? I don't know.
No,
Probably not.
it will not.
But Halo fans, I think, are going to be pretty stoked. Um, the team has been doing a good job with those bi-weekly updates as well, letting you know like this is what we're improving, this is what we've done, here's all the features you can expect. But yeah, at E3, I'm expecting a big gameplay showing, and hopefully they introduce some of the new mechanics, some of the new physics-based stuff, and some of these kind of RPG-ish mechanics we've been hearing for the campaign as well.
And this will be the 4th year we see Infinite at E3, by the way.
Let's go 4 more years.
Oh my God! Stop it.
All right,
No, Miles. Bad.
I'm gonna get to a couple super chats, and then I'm gonna ask you about your E3 of dreams.
All right.
Doesn't have to be realistic at all. This is if Dealer was sitting down at a table with Phil Spencer and said, "All right, Phil, these are the projects we're greenlighting. Those are gonna be. That's what I'm asking for." Faisal007 with the super chat says the best thing they can do for Halo is to show side-by-side gameplay before and after the delay, and then show new gameplay. I kind of
They don't want
agree
to
with
remind
that.
people of Craig Infinite.
I see. I want them to be that ballsy though. I want them to be like,
I
"Hey,
want a reversible cover on the physical copy with Craig Infinite on the other side.
I want handsome Craig. I want handsome Craig in the new trailer. I want them to do a like 500 times slow-mo zoom on updated Craig's face and be like, "What's up? What's
I
up?"
want the band Hanson to be in the background when we see handsome Craig.
Bop,
Yeah, you heard that right.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Handsome Craig, own it. Oh, they've owned the meme. They've owned the
All
Craig
right.
meme. They've owned the missteps of that
I,
presentation.
I think they do a backflip away from that whole thing, as Microsoft
Cowards.
does. Well, hey, maybe I don't know. It's just kind of miraculous that it even happened, but yeah, maybe they do a backflip away from that whole thing, and they just show you. Hey, did you hear about those those trailers that came out the first 2 years? Which again, Phil didn't like debuting and showing the game off that way. They wanted gameplay much sooner, but those were said to be contracted out to outside sources explaining why they look so much better than the actual game.
Oh, I did not hear about this. I don't believe. So you're saying like the first
Now, I'm just
Halo
throwing it
trailer
out there as
with the
something. I'm
pilot?
not saying it's true. I'm asking you more so if you've heard anything about that,
I will
because
say
I've
that
heard something
I've
about
heard zero about that, if I'm being
it.
honest.
Okay. Well, think about it though. It's weird how those things look so good because they did, and
But it
because
was a
Microsoft
tight
contracted stuff
space.
like that out.
Those
It was a
trailers with
tight
tight
space, but
spaces, less
look at
things to
look at
render.
open world games, man. Like I don't know. I mean, just it's I don't know. It's a different caliber. I can't really point to a modern game like Red Dead 2 and say it's an open world. That means it's worse looking than something that's not. I think we're beyond that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
obviously there are sacrifices in certain areas that have to happen to keep it running well, but
I mean, even Chief's armor was like individually moving. Like even the plates were physically laced.
hmm yeah, it looked good, looked
It looked
impressive.
good.
So I don't know. I haven't heard that, Dealer. Are you spreading
I'm not
fake
saying
news on
it
this show,
happened.
or
I mean,
okay, okay?
if it's with Miles Dompier, sure. Again, that's why I say I don't know if it's true, but it's something to think about. It's something I've heard. It doesn't mean it's true. And anytime I'm not confident in something like that, I always say it. So it is something to think about. It might explain discrepancies,
Okay, okay.
but maybe not.
Out here stirring the
Maybe not.
pot. I get it. I feel it.
I'm just saying, look, different caliber to me. You might want to go back and watch them things.
Maybe I'll check it out. Do a little side by side. See what's
Yeah,
up.
go watch that like you did the Hellblade trailer.
Yeah, yeah. All right, super chat from Dovahkeen89.
Ooh,
That wouldn't matter if they were trying to push copies and not Game Pass users. Big B2B2B games go perfect with Game Pass.
B2B2 games. You want to retry that, Miles? What do you say? You sound like me.
Okay. Big B. Oh, back to back to back. Okay, I
Mm.
think that's what I mean. Big back to back to back to games go
Just a
perfect with
few
the
extra
Game
words,
Pass
people, and it would save us a lot of
approach.
trouble.
Think about it. Sorry for butchering that. I had no idea what you were talking about for a quick
Shout out to
second.
Dovahkeen.
Okay,
Shout out
so
to Dovahkeen, though.
Dovahkeen saying that Starfield launching close to Halo maybe doesn't matter because they want that back-to-back kind of swing and cadence of Xbox Game Pass.
That's true, but you got to remember they're smaller titles as well, and how they want 3 or 4 at least moderately sized titles a year in Game Pass, and they do have to spread these out quarterly, pretty much.
Yeah, I don't personally think the back-to-back approach means one first-party AAA game every single month, back to back to back. I think it's going to be
That would be nice.
it'd be nice, and maybe a few years from now, once Xbox Game Studios expands, once all their teams are firing on this cadence that they're targeting for,
Mm.
maybe that's a reality. Maybe not necessarily AAA, but we get a first-party game of some kind every month. But for now, they really are going to want to spread out what they have because unfortunately,
Yeah,
first party wise, they don't have that. They don't have
that's
the
why they're going
ability.
after these third-party deals, right? I mean, it's
Yes.
2015 all over again. They know they're buying and building, and they need time. Sony are doing a similar thing.
Hmm. Yeah. They need time. They're not gonna. I was gonna say something inappropriate. They're not going to
Go ahead, Miles. Join
dump.
the club.
They're not gonna dump their entire clip at the same time. We'll use some Aaron Greenberg
Oh
terminology there.
God, it's
Um,
not Aaron Greenberg.
okay, let's transition into Dealer Gaming's E3 of Dreams. No holds barred. What would get you the most hyped that you've ever been for an Xbox showcase?
I'm a realist, Miles. This is a very hard
I didn't
question.
want you to be I don't want you to be a realist right now,
I'm
dealer.
sorry. I
Turn it
guess
off.
you didn't give me much of a warning, like a
E3
day or a week. It's not enough. I would say that to be a ridiculous E3, I like the move to a single conference. This is something that I had speculated would happen before, though my panel members smartly pointed out that hey, they normally would, and I knew this. I just for some reason I was like, man, it would be really cool to see these Bethesda IP just under the Microsoft Xbox umbrella on that stage. How are they going to do it in front of the camcorder? And just have it all. Hey, this is Xbox, and guess what? You might want to get one. That would, I do like that. I don't know how it's going to play into again later events or later things where they're going to talk about more stuff. I'm sure they will, but yeah, that's cool. I would like Master Chief to look drastically better and to intentionally focus on a party game with great level design. We see everyone do it at E3. We saw it yesterday. Um, I think Microsoft need to take a note out of that playbook. Put Master Chief in a beautiful, gorgeous area, and show some gameplay and maybe a little bit more of the narrative because we can watch Master Chief shoot things all day. We've been watching it for 20 years. Let us know what's going on a little bit more behind the scenes there. Uh, I don't think we'll see Gears there, but I kind of explained earlier, less enemies, more frightening. That's what I want with Gears, honestly. If that, that would be a dream thing, I guess, could really set E3 up, but not going to happen. Starfield will be there. You'll see it being played. I'm hoping that's really cool because we knew what Fallout was. We knew what Skyrim was, Elder Scrolls was. This is basically Fallout in space in a way. But surely there are some new mechanics and stuff, right? So I'm really intrigued to see what that's all about. They will talk about how it's only on Xbox, of course, and Xbox Windows ecosystem. Miles, I don't know. I really don't know.
I
Like,
was
I
gonna
would
say
want
these just
kind of a
sound like
Mechasol
realistic
remake or
predictions and not like
yeah, like I know, right? That it's just I'm a pretty grounded person when I'm not being misquoted. I think that something like a Mechasol reboot would be cool in a way. I mean, it's not
okay,
even like
now
a
we're
mind
talking.
blowing thing. Here's something that would be cool. That's not going to happen. Some Fable gameplay, like in a big way.
Ooh, ooh,
That would be cool
yeah.
because that game's in development since late 2017. But again, Matt Booty, first party teams, IPs, especially new IPs are definitely behind. I wish we knew absolutely anything about Everwild other than it's about a frog that can hold fish in its mouth.
Sign me up. Day one.
Um,
Let's go.
Sign me up. Let me crawl in. And of course, Forza Motorsport. I'm a motorsport guy, so we'll probably get Horizon. I wasn't in the camp that thought this would happen because they've already revealed Motorsport, but I'm guessing something internally. Maybe they've invested more in the engine. I don't know why, but they need 4 years or 5 years if it's not this year for a motorsport title. That's kind of crazy,
Yeah,
but maybe they're really, really shooting to be the benchmark.
yeah. It sounds like with motorsport specifically, this is like a ground up new engine designed to kind of kick off an entire new gen of racing
Because remember, in
physics.
2013, this is the thing though. I also don't want to start out with freaking 200 cars again. This happens every time.
They
They
get
by the end of the generation, they're up to 700, 800 cars. Boom, start over. This
mhm.
is, I'm done with this crap. So hopefully they launch with minimum 400 or 500 cars, not like Forza 5 with under two. And if they're retooling, which they are, hopefully that stuff is going to come over and easier than ever. It's x86 to x86 architecture for the first time in console gaming with Microsoft. So that should allow for easy translation of assets, stuff like that. I suspect you'll see Gears Tactics upgrades and crap in Gear 6, by the way, for that reason. But yeah, Forza Motorsport. I want to see more of that. I know some details of it. I've been told some stuff recently. It's looking to go more a Forza Motorsport 2 route in
Ooh,
a couple different
that
ways.
was the first one I ever played, so I got some nostalgia for that one. Let me
Ooh,
hit you with
back
this
in
then, because
2007.
your predictions have been pretty mild.
Yeah, because I think it's gonna be pretty mild.
Dream location for Horizon. It's probably Mexico. It's very
Yeah, why don't they just
likely
get
Mexico.
Tokyo out of the way? Everyone keeps talking about Tokyo, right?
Yeah.
HDR,
Tokyo
OLED,
was the big
QLED.
conversation before this reveal. Everyone's like, it's 100% Tokyo. I saw it on Reddit. Trust me, bro.
Trust me. Someone wrote an article about Miles Dompier had a taco for lunch. Well, didn't it happen to you? Yeah, that happened to you recently where somebody misquoted you. I don't know, man. Just the Forza thing, it's cool. Miles, do they need to do something different with Horizon though? Because Horizon 4 is still so gorgeous. It hasn't really done much new from 3. I thought 3 was better in a way because of that Hot Wheels DLC alone.
Ooh, that Hot Wheels DLC.
And Hot Wheels, the actual brand, has come out with their own game because they're like, holy crap, people love this. Yeah, I mean, what do they need to do? Seasons was it with 4. What are they moving to next? Miles, go.
I don't know. I thought Forza Horizon 4 was the first one I really played, seriously, because of Game
Fraudulency.
Pass. Because I like racing games. I was never in the camp of paying $60 for a racing game. I just didn't do it.
Why not, Miles?
I don't know. It's just not my jam. But Game Pass has opened up a whole new world. Like Wreckfest, love it. Been playing so much Wreckfest. Forza Horizon 4, played probably 30 hours of Forza Horizon 4, something I never would have done previously because I don't know. I don't dislike racing games. I just don't buy them.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Forza Horizon, I'm not the best person to talk to about what Forza Horizon needs to do because I thought Forza Horizon 4 was pretty rad. But
yeah. Chat, let us know what you think Forza Horizon 5 has to do. And a lot of you, I expect, say, you don't have to do nothing. Stay the same forever. It's perfect. But honestly, what do you or would you like to see it do as a fan, right? I know myself, after 3, you got to be feeling a little bit of been there, done that a little bit. You want it to innovate. You want it to add some new things. Like, that's just me as a hardcore Forza fan, right? I used to run top 50s in the world in these games.
Oh, dang.
So this is like, I know Forza well. I just hope they bring enough, and it's not, we don't want quantity over quality,
Oh, and chat, because dealers' predictions were a little tame. Hit me with some
They weren't predictions. I told you I don't really have any. I mean, I know
this
what I
was
know,
supposed to
but
be your
I don't
E3
know
of
what I don't know.
dreams. These sounded just like predictions.
I just told you I'm a realist, Miles. I mean, that's like asking you to pretend like your guitar is an anaconda. It's just really hard to do.
I wanted the get hype dealer dropping some wild off the wall bombshells. But
Look,
I'm need the chat to
I don't
fill in
remember
here.
what it's like to be that hyped, honestly, because the last several events they've had, I already knew what was going to happen the day or the week before, and usually disappointed in a little way, but also not in a different way. That's just how it works. So I try not to, in the stems from my childhood, get my hopes up about anything. That way I'm never let down.
Oh my God! Just
Nah,
living a
I'm just
dark
kidding.
reality, dealer.
I'm kidding. So what could they do to hype you up to the maximum? Miles' face is exploding, sticking to the wall like a piece of bologna.
Okay. Let me spice this up here.
Perfect.
Xbox coming out E3 of dreams. Let me tell you exactly what this looks like. First up, we finally get the Phantom Dust reboot.
Oh,
Papa Phil comes out on stage. He talks about the debauchery that happened with the last reboot. Talks about how he failed fans by not seeing this through.
You're getting really specific right now.
And then he brings out the Coalition, who is going to handle the development. They are going to give Phantom Dust a AAA arena-based deck building experience like you've never seen before. Fits perfectly in the modern age. And Coalition is going to be...
guys who made the Yu-Gi-Oh games, Miles. I'm sorry, I cannot witness this blasphemy right now.
No. This deserves the best of the best.
So you're being serious, though. You're not just trolling.
No, I'm not trolling at
I
all.
feel like you're trolling.
I'm not trolling. Everyone,
You want the
I am the
coalition to make
biggest.
a Phantom Dust card game.
Have you played It's Phantom Dust is an arena-based action game
Oh,
with deck building elements, dealer.
why
It's that
coalition?
simple because they are excellent at third-person games. Phantom Dust is a third-person
So is
action game.
it?
They are excellent at multiplayer suites. Phantom Dust is a multiplayer-focused game. The coalition would kill it. Absolutely kill it. I posted on Twitter and I saw some people being like, "What? Why would Coalition ever do it?" They wouldn't. They would never do it. But if
They
they
would never do it.
did,
You're having fun.
I would be that one person in the crowd losing their mind and everyone else would be like, "What's Phantom Dust?"
It's like, why is Miles crying? They
What?
announced Phantom Dust by the coalition.
Yeah, so if that happens,
And there's chainsaws.
called it. Nailed it.
What if there's a Phantom Dust mobile game that gets shut down after a year or
Jeez.
whatever?
Oh my god, don't.
Huh?
What okay. Next up, From Software, the beloved Souls creators. People forget that From Software has a long history with Xbox exclusives. Phil Spencer brings Miyazaki out on stage, and they announce that they are rebooting Otage as an Xbox exclusive, bringing the beloved franchise back with a whole new generation. And yeah, exclusive to Xbox, crowd loses their minds. Next up, Xbox announces that Capcom and Undead Labs are collaborating and partnering on a reboot of Dead Rising, dealer.
Why?
Why? Because Dead Rising is one of the best franchises in Xbox's history. That's why.
You're insulting Xbox right now.
Am I? Or am I
You
just
are.
speaking the truth here? And it's
No, Dead Rising 1 was interesting
Dead
because you had
Rising
never really seen that many enemies, I
1
guess.
and
But
2,
I
beautiful.
don't know. Like, no offense, to Dead Rising fans, and I want you to dream big. I want you to dream big right now, Miles.
Somebody's got to dream big
You're doing
around
big
here.
things. I know you're making up for the lack of big dreams over here. So I just appreciate that, but I want to know what the hell Otage is.
You don't know Otage? I thought you were an Xbox fan, dealer. I thought.
Sorry, but that sounds like if you spelled Xbox backwards, it sounds like Otage.
Yeah, Otage and Phantom Dust, probably games most people have never heard of ever.
Phantom Dust I am familiar with.
Phantom Dust at least kind of came back recently in some form via that trailer. Otage, though, look that up. Look up Otage and tell me that a reboot of that franchise with how big From Software is now wouldn't rush because
Is it like the game we saw at PlayStation's E3 where you attack the crab's weak spot for maximum damage?
Yeah, it's that. It's that.
Perfect.
Yep.
I'm in.
So yeah, that's a couple. I mean, if Xbox did all that, boom. If Xbox doesn't reboot Phantom Dust ever, I'm probably just only gonna play PS5. I think is where I'm at.
Imagine how bad the state of that game was in for Phil to look at it and be like, you guys are fired.
Yeah, that's what really sucks. But that is unfortunately in a time where Xbox was not getting any budget for any of their games.
Thanks, Terry Myerson.
And that's why a lot of those projects got canceled or came out and were just fine or bland because small teams, small budgets, not a lot of resources. Because that team wanted to make a really big Phantom Dust game. Like they wanted to do a full campaign and they wanted to do multiplayer, but they were basically tasked with only making like a multiplayer only version of Phantom Dust. And
yeah,
I don't know that this is 100% true, but some of the things I've heard regarding that whole scenario was they developed a slice of a campaign to show Xbox and said, because they were given a budget to prototype this game. They developed a multiplayer and they developed a slice of a campaign and they were pushing the campaign. And Xbox was like, you wasted the budget we gave you on this campaign. We don't want a campaign. We're not giving you any more money to finish the multiplayer. I don't know that that's true, but that is some of the things I've heard regarding what happened with Phantom Dust. For the 8 people in here who probably care about Phantom Dust.
Okay.
Yeah, so a little
7, 1 just left, but yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, seriously, Phantom Dust for the fans of the franchise, which admittedly we didn't hear much about it until they brought it back along with Voodoo Vince.
Oh yeah,
There's
Voodoo
always people
Vince.
that I love Phantom Dust, right? Conveniently, right when you just learned what it was, right? So I remember Phantom Dust on the original Xbox. Is when I became an Xbox gamer, and I didn't really give it the time then because I've never been into those deck building kind of combat games. I get it; people like what they like. Um, but man, you're leaving out Jet Set Radio Future. What's going on?
Jet Set Radio Future. Ooh, that's another one that holds a special
Yeah.
place in my heart because when I bought my Xbox, it had the bundle of what was it, Sega GT and Jet Set Radio Future, and then I had Hunter the Reckoning and Halo Combat Evolved. And I had no idea what Jet Set Radio was when I got an Xbox, but oh, I love that game. Jet Set Radio Future was so good.
Mm. Mech Assault. Bring it back.
Let's go. E3 of Dreams. Let's make it happen. All right, I'm
Mm.
gonna get to some super chats here, and then I'm going to open it up to you to kind of close out the show, let people know who you are, where they can find you, and we're gonna wrap this thing up. But first,
Ooh.
Fonzarelli Gaming in the house. What up, dude? He says Miles and Dealer. Nice.
Nice.
Psychonaut super chat says, "What's up, Miles and Dealer? Appreciate y'all."
Psychonauts. How dare you put Miles's name first?
We're throwing
No,
some
Psychonauts.
respect
Shout
on the
out to
name.
Psychonauts. Yeah.
Dovahkeen89, it was another super chat, says Playground needs to make the Mario Kart of Xbox. Okay. Dealer, Mario Kart of Xbox, you in, you out.
Playground is busy assembling a ton of talent to build you another RPG called Fable. And of course Forza. But who would be good for Mario Kart? I would give that to, man, you know what is a good studio that somebody needs to rescue from, I think Activision, or who just bought them? Toys for Bob. That's a quality studio that could really produce some higher quality content than what was like Super Lucky's Tale and stuff, right? I mean, it's a talented studio. I played the Crash Bandicoot 4. I mean, I think it's the best one.
Crash Bandicoot 4 was an amazing return to form. Like,
Yeah.
phenomenal platformer. Absolutely loved it.
But anyways, I'm holding up the show more than I already have. Go ahead.
Oh no worries at all, dude. Yeah, I want to pick your brain. Otagi 1 and 2 were hard and amazing. Faisal 007 with a super chat that is perfect and the right take. Yeah, Otagi, I don't know if it holds up. I honestly haven't played it in at least 15 years. But I own Otagi 1 and 2, the physical discs. They aren't backwards compatible either. What up, Phil? Scatolites with the super chat says, "What's your thoughts on the chance that Microsoft buys Valve and announces Half-Life 3?"
0%.
0. Yeah, I kind of agree. I think that's a pretty hard 0% chance. I know we were just talking about E3 of Dreams, and I don't want to crush your dreams, but yeah, I don't think that's happening. All right, Faisal again says Xbox announces a Metal Gear Solid 3 remake. What? Kojima coming on board to make a Metal Gear game for Xbox, Dealer? Is that happening?
Yeah, I said this on my show a couple weeks ago, and I actually mentioned this in a video a couple years ago. I was hearing that they were working on a Snake Eater remake, but I think it was Bluepoint that I was hearing was working on it at the time. I don't know if that's real or fake, but it's a hell of a coincidence.
Ooh, yeah. So that'll be interesting. I know a lot of people have been clamoring for a Metal Gear Solid.
I want to eat snakes now.
Reboot, revival, something from someone. So hopefully that happens. Super chat from Tony Art who says, "Bring back Blinks."
Blinks the time sweeping cat.
Blinks the time sweeping cat. I have some nostalgia for that game, but admittedly, I don't remember anything about it. Like, I remember playing that game a lot, but I couldn't tell you really a single stage that I remember from Blinks.
Yeah, I remember this game called Metal Arms. That game really sticks out on the original Xbox.
Little robot
really cool
game? Yeah.
Little robot, yeah, but when you shot stuff, like, I just remember like being above the rest when it comes to a lot of like little particles and stuff that was happening. I don't remember what it was exactly, but for some reason that game was just fun to play.
Yeah, no, that was one of those games that I think came out and was a sleeper hit, like reviewed really well, but not a lot of people played it. Yeah, so I have fond memories of that one too, because that was a really cool, unique game on Xbox. All right, dealer,
Yes, sir.
we're gonna wrap this show up. We've been rocking for over 2 hours. I appreciate you coming on, dude. Everyone here knows you. You're a legend in the Xbox community. Been in the game for a minute, but where can people harass you? Where can they find
You
you?
can harass me at II space dealer space II on Xbox Live,
Oh,
where I'm playing Resident Evil 8, and man, such a good game.
dude, I
Also,
beat it 7 times.
Miles, you know there's like girls and stuff outside, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what's up, what's up, ladies? What's good?
He says, "So, ladies," looked out his window. No, I could never do that, man. I'm like, I've got like 20 hours in the game, and I'm not through it once. So that kind of shows you the length at which you can really, really explore and go around looking around. I think it's close to 20 hours. I would say 15 to 20. Going around and looking around in Resident Evil. I mean, there's a lot of detail, man, and it's a beautiful game for being an introductory title to your next generation system too. So if you've got one of those, check it out. It's a lot of people, get to the beginning of a Resident Evil game, a modern one, where they don't have any guns, and they're real daunting. But you'll get a grenade launcher, you'll get a shotgun, landmines, and more. Right? Just keep going. You become a little bit more empowered, and it's not so frightening.
Yeah, this game does a really good job
Quote
of
unquote.
making you feel like a badass. Like eventually you'll get grenade launcher, magnum, a fully automatic
Mm.
assault rifle, and then as you beat it, you can unlock
Toenail clippers.
unlimited ammo for these. I'm rolling through the game on the hardest difficulty, unlimited magnum, just dominating, and it just feels good. It's a scary game at parts, and it's stressful that first time through, and then after you beat it once, they just let you be as dumb as you want to be, and I love it for
Hmm.
that.
Yeah, I've been playing that. Of course, 2K. I got like 22 days or something in NBA 2K21, the next gen version. It is not like the last gen version with Damian Lillard on the cover. It is not crossplay, and it's a different title. So the one in Game Pass is not the one that I'm talking about. Just I get questions about that. So it has Zion Williamson on the cover. But yeah, that's a fun game. It's my first basketball game ever really picking it up. I got a review code actually for that one, but yeah, it's turned out to be something that I really enjoyed and put a lot of time into. A lot of multiplayer, Cold War, Modern Warfare. I still think Modern Warfare is much better, but now it's got a lot more bugs because they're not updating the stupid game as much. And man, Valhalla, a little bit of everything, honestly. It Takes Two. I beat that, probably a month ago. That
Ooh,
game still sticks out in my mind. So
It
if
Takes
you haven't tried
Two.
that, try that.
Oh yeah, one of the best platformers I played in a minute. Really love that.
Very unique. Does things no other game's ever done.
They keep it fresh the entire time. Like every hour, you're introduced to a completely new mechanic, and it
A
just
new
really keeps things.
handful of baby powder right in the face every
Ooh,
hour.
oof.
You're good to go. Ooh wee. Yeah,
Oh,
Miles, thanks for having me on, man. Again, you can find me at Dealer Gaming on YouTube, at Dealer_Gaming on Twitter. And I want to give a big shout out to everyone watching, like everyone that supports these shows and makes it go. Because you
yes.
do. You really do. So thank you guys for what you do. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, and yeah, check out my last video.
Yes. I appreciate you coming on, man. And again, everyone
Mm.
hanging out, enjoying the show, chatting with us. Absolutely love it. You guys are awesome. The support's been incredible. And it's always a blast to hang out with awesome folks like Dealer on Saturday and the rest of y'all in the community. So really appreciate it. And on that, we are going to wrap this up, and I will catch y'all next week. Have a good one, everybody.
Goodbye.